fairly strong rotation with this one here, and this is headed right toward the Utah area. And as we go forward on into the next, say, 20, 30 minutes or so, it is going to work its way right over top of Utah and eventually potentially head toward the Moundville area, similar areas that were hit just a little over a week ago with the threat for some of those tornadoes as well, too. So kind of tracking it out here with you for this one here. Right now we can take this one, and it's moving fairly quickly here, and it looks like it gets to the Utah area about 8 minutes, Wedgeworth around 12 to 14 minutes, Evansville 15, Akron about 16 minutes there, over toward Havana around 22, and eventually toward Ingram around 26 minutes. So if you're in the path of this storm here, you need to take shelter immediately. Lowest level of your home, basement or an interior closet or bathroom away from windows. If you're in a mobile home, want to get out of that when you do not want to be there at all with this storm as it continues to track its way here off to the northeast at a pretty good clip. So we're going to continue to watch this one pretty closely here. It is showing some fairly strong rotation with it, so that's why we are looking at here. This is where we're talking about, right in that location there. Going back to the radar, we'll show you that's that tail end of this. It's likely going to be a rain-wrapped tornado, so you're not necessarily going to get a good view or clear view of this, but it is heading right toward the Utah area at this time, and we'll continue to kind of track in this one here as it moves on in. And with that in mind here, again, just kind of giving you a better idea. Again, Beulah G around 2 minutes for you, Allison there about 5 minutes, Utah about 15 minutes for you now, Evansville around 25, and Akron around 27 minutes. So does have the potential here for what we're looking at with a potential for a tornado to come on in. No confirmed reports of this right now, so that's definitely something we'll be watching as we go forward here as it moves off to the northeast, about 40 miles per hour or so. This is a fairly fast-moving storm. Go ahead and show you the motion of it for you, and as it continues to track its way here across part of Greene County, eventually on into Hale County, if it holds together, could get into Tuscaloosa County. Right now, though, again, just watch us here over the Utah area from the Tom Bigby Waterway area, heading over toward the Black Warrior River. That's where the storm is going to be tracking. So with that in mind here and with the location it's in, you're going to get heavy rain and get some strong winds with this as well, too, regardless if a tornado or not forms. But looking at the latest radar, though, it does show that we do have some pretty good circulation here tied in with this. Again, you're not going to necessarily be able to see the tornado here, but there is the potential for it to be developing. We're not getting any debris showing up on our debris tracker yet here, but nonetheless, though, we're going to keep a close eye on it just to see here if we can get anything at this point. But there has been some strong rotation showing up. That is the location where we're talking again right here, kind of zooming on in a little tighter just to give you an idea of what we're talking about with the storm here as it continues to move on in. Beulah G, it's right over top of you now, so you definitely need to be in your safe place heading right to the Allison area. That is where we're going to see it moving to next. So the Allison area, watch out. Lizzieville as well, too, here. 5 points just to the south there, and this is not Birmingham 5 points. This is down in Greene and Hale County area. As this continues to track its way to the northeast, eventually kind of working its way kind of just north of the Walden Quarters area there, Walden Quarters rather as well. But Beulah G Street, County Road 138, you need to take shelter immediately. The storm is moving right along those locations there at this time. So this is just south of Interstate 5920, basically right along Highway 11, which is the Beulah G, if I'm seeing that right, street here. So that is where we're looking at Highway 11. There's Interstate 5920. Rotation again, kind of backing up just a little bit here, as you'll see, kind of zooming out a little bit more. That's where we're talking about. So it says heading right up toward the Utah area. If you're watching us in Utah, the storm is coming right to your neck of the woods here, and that is where we're going to be continuing to watch there. Going ahead, looking at our reflectivity again. Not really seeing the clear-cut hook echo like we usually see with this, but we are going to continue watching here for this possibility of a tornado kind of wrapped there in rain. You can see a live look at Tuscaloosa right now, but that's not quite where we're looking for the storm yet, but that's obviously just off to the north there of what we're talking about. But looking at our latest debris tracker here, I'm going to go back over here to the Birmingham radar to give you an idea of what we're talking about. It's in this location here is where we're watching, and that's where we've seen that again. Pretty good rotation tied in with this here, with this storm. We've seen quite a few of them coming up here from Mississippi on into Alabama, and as they do so, they have the potential here to produce some tornadoes. This is the one that's actually made it all the way in here from Mississippi and has the chance here to be one of the strongest ones we've seen so far this morning, but this will likely be one of many we will see as we go forward throughout the day today. Now, the bulk of the storms we're waiting to see for strong long track tornadoes are likely going to be here across North Mississippi and northwestern Alabama. So this one's a little further to the south, still in that zone we're looking at for tornadoes today, not in the quote high risk area, but you don't have to be in the high risk to get a tornado. Anywhere across central Alabama has a chance of getting tornadoes today. This one being the first one we're watching here through at least the 12:30 time frame right now. But kind of zooming back in here, what we're talking about, let me take one more quick look at this just to kind of give you an idea of what we're talking about here. Looking at our debris tracker right now, I haven't seen much here. Switching over to the Columbus radars a little bit closer to that here, and then we'll go on in and show you just kind of what we're talking about. I'm not picking up anything there right now, too. But nonetheless, though, we're still watching a pretty strong rotation here, Griffin. Have you seen any reports of anything coming out of this yet?
No. As of right now, they're still calling this a radar-indicated tornado. I just want to list through some of the communities this could be potentially impacting that are within that tornado warning polygon. So this is going to include Utah. It's going to include Moundville, which, of course, was hit by the tornado last week, that EF-1 tornado that caused all that damage. It's going to be impacting Akron, Allison, Walden Quarters, all of these areas that are in the northern tip of Greene and Hale counties is what we're talking about here. And again, this storm has the possibility of producing a tornado. We've been watching that radar indicated rotation. Here are some of those arrival times. Looking at Utah in about 8 minutes, Evansville in about 18 minutes, Akron 19 minutes for you, all the way up to Cypress if it holds together in about 28 minutes. So that's what the latest time frame is so far. And again, they're calling this a radar indicated rotation area that they're watching. And if we do have anything, it's going to be right about here, just to the southwest of Utah. This is tracking up to the northeast at around 40 to 45 miles per hour. If you're watching us in Tuscaloosa County, this is south of you right now. And it looks like most of this is still back in Greene and Hale County. We're looking live now at Tuscaloosa County, where obviously overcast skies. The storm hasn't quite made it here yet, but obviously keeping a close eye on it because it's tracking up to the northeast, which means it'll eventually, if it holds together, end up in Tuscaloosa County. So once again, the most, I would say the largest town that's currently in the vicinity of this storm is Utah. So if you're in Utah, you need to go ahead and head to your safe place right now. This will be moving into town within the next 5 to 10 minutes. The rain's already coming down pretty hard. And if there is any radar indicated rotation, it's in the back southwestern quadrant of the storm. So a lot of lightning strikes with that as well. Obviously, if you're in northern Greene and Hale counties, you need to go ahead and head to your safe spot. Interior room, away from doors and windows, lowest floor possible. We had a tornado watch that was just issued about about 15 minutes ago. That impacts all of us here in central Alabama. So another look at that area of rotation there that you just saw. So here's the tornado watch that we've got pulled up right now. This is going to be impacting essentially everybody in central Alabama, with of course the exception of a few counties down to the southeast. Tornado watch in effect until 8 p.m. tonight. So this could be a pretty long-winded event, just the first tornado warning of the day, first of many, Dave. So we're obviously going to be watching this very closely. And this Greene and Hale County storm is the first one of the day, off to an early start.
Yeah, that's right, Griffin. And you can see here, just looking at the velocity product here, this is showing where the rotation is in the thunderstorm. And as Griffin alluded to, it is coming right over top of Utah. So if you're watching us down there right now, definitely be in your safe place. Again, the basement, lowest level of your home, away from windows, interior bathroom or closet, best place to be. Mobile home, you don't want to be in them at all for the day today anyway. Go to a sturdy building, a friend, family home, someplace where you can be safer than a mobile home. They're just not safe when we have threat for some damaging straight line winds here of maybe 60, 70, 80 miles per hour. And of course, the threat for some tornadoes across the area as well too. So this is the storm here. We're going to go ahead and show you that again with the radar itself looks like here. But again, the storm is likely, if there is a tornado, it's going to be rain wrapped in there right on top of the Utah area. So as this goes forward here, we're going to continue watching this one coming right on in toward Utah. Highway 11 going right up the Highway 11 corridor, just kind of south of Interstate 5920 right now. So as this continues to move on in, you have the heavy rain, you have the hail potential here for maybe a tornado kind of working its way on in toward the Utah area at this hour. Going back here, kind of looking at the velocity, again, this is the circulation or spin we look at here. And again, it goes right over top of. So if you're watching us in Utah, this is not the place you want to be out and about right now. Be in your safe place here as it continues to work its way eventually on in toward Hale County. The storm is going to continue riding right basically along Highway 11 here, kind of just south of 5920 at this point as it continues to move on out here, eventually trying to move on in eventually to parts there of the Hale County area, coming out of Greene County, Hale County, and then not quite to Tuscaloosa yet. We're keeping an eye on Tuscaloosa County, but at this point, this is the main storm we're watching here across the area there, with that pretty strong rotation showing up across the Utah area as well. Looking at the different radar here, just to give you a different perspective. Pretty heavy rain, likely some hail kind of mixed in with this as well. Some of it could be strong, large hail as well too. But this is the main storm we're talking about across the region right now. Went back across the area here, just to give you an idea. That's the windstorm we're watching. Also watching some severe storms that have been popping up here, kind of just north of the Birmingham area at this time too. Looking at these are not necessarily tornadic type storms yet. Looks like it's producing some pretty heavy rain and hail. Fultondale, Center Point area. Already had reports of some flooding issues up in Center Point here, over towards, say, Gardendale. Some pretty heavy rain coming right toward Trussville. So here's Highway 11 again, north of Birmingham. Interstate 59 now at this point. This is where the storm is. Kind of giving you an idea where this severe thunderstorm continues to roll through. Again, right on top of Fultondale. Last place you want to get some heavy rain and strong winds, at least at this point, based off the January tornado we had there. But we're going to continue watching this one, and at least at this point here, I'm going to go ahead and put some, show the velocity here, kind of give you an idea of what we're talking about. With rotation, we're not seeing really anything, which is good. The better areas to see that rotation are going to be farther to the south at this point. We're waiting for another warm front to move in. For example, right now here in Birmingham, temperatures about 65, 66 degrees. Down the way here in Montgomery, temperatures are closing in on 80 degrees. So that warm front's kind of right between the two. As that warm front moves to the north, which is likely right where that tornado warning is, that is where we have the best lift in the instability in the atmosphere to produce these storms that have the capability of tornadoes. That warm front is eventually going to live farther to the north, and when that happens, then we'll have a better chance of tornadoes spreading across North Mississippi, northwestern Alabama, and that is where we have that high risk, level 5 out of 5 high risk for the second time in 8 days. We've seen that across our area. Conan, what do you have?
Well, we've got Hale County EMA Director Russell Whedon on the phone with us now to just kind of go over everything that's going on in that area. Russell, thanks so much for your time today.
Yes, sir. Our northern part of the county is under a tornado warning, so we've already set off the sirens up there. And it looks like it's close to Utah, so we're preparing for it to come across the line.
What is the most important message that you have right now for people living in that area about what they need to do right at this moment now? Right.
Make sure they go ahead and go into their severe weather plan. Make sure they get in a safe place. Make sure they get out of a mobile home. Make sure that all the kids have on bike helmets.
What are you seeing there? Are you starting to see any effects of the weather there at this point so far?
No, not so far, but all of our deputies are out towards the Greene County way watching for the storm to come across the line.
How have you and other emergency leaders in the area worked to get prepared for everything that you might potentially see today?
Yeah, so the big thing is just getting the word out and make everybody weather aware, make sure everybody has a way of getting the weather when we do go under a tornado warning, just getting the word out that it was coming today.
All right, once again, Russell Whedon, Hale County EMA Director. We're going to go back over to Dave Nussbaum for the latest right now.
Thanks, Conan. Yeah, we're still watching this. Again, it goes till 12:30. Current time is 11:52 here. So again, this is likely the first of many we'll see as we go forward here throughout the day today with these tornado warnings. And as mentioned earlier, this is right on the southern edge of where we're watching. So Tuscaloosa County, not involved with this warning right now, but we'll definitely continue to watch to see if that does change a little later on at this point here. We're getting, let's see, continues tornado. Okay, so still watching this one here. Yeah, see, we're watching that now up there across the Birmingham area here with the potential for some severe weather continuing. That's the Fultondale storm. Very heavy rain, a lot of lightning tied in with that one as well, too. So still watching this storm here. That's that severe thunderstorm warning until 12:15. But the tornadic type storm, if you will, down here, still working its way through parts of the Utah area as well. Kind of zooming back in there, giving a different perspective of what we're seeing. Seeing a lot of lightning show up. And one of the signs you try to see if the tornado storm's about to become a tornadic type storm is maybe you see an intense amount of lightning, this positive strokes from the top of a thunderstorm down to the ground. And as that happens, sometimes we can see a tornado begin to develop there. So I'm going to go ahead and switch to a little closer radar there, Columbus, Mississippi radar. And that's the rotation we're talking about right past the Utah area here now too. Our debris tracker is not really picking up anything yet. That's some good news. It's not to say we can't see something here momentarily, but at least at the moment we're still watching this one just basically becoming what we're talking about right on top of this location. So let me go ahead and give you an idea here of the timing of this and exactly what we're talking about here. Kind of doing a little track just to give you an idea here. We're talking Akron about 8 minutes. It gets to your area there. Over towards, say, Stewart about 12 minutes. Moundville around 21 minutes. So if you're in Moundville, need to watch this when you're in that tornado warning. Definitely go to your safe place here. Get ready as the storm kind of works its way up here across part of Hale County. And then going on into Sullivan around 22 minutes. Foster's there around 24 and Hull around 27 minutes. So again, still seeing some pretty good rotation with this one. I say pretty good. That means the storm is rotating, watching to see if it is going to try to become more of a tornadic type storm, meaning producing a tornado. Right now, though, not seeing any confirmation of a tornado yet. We'll take that, but it does have enough of that rotation there, and that is why the Weather Service has issued that tornado warning. That goes till 12:30 this afternoon here for that storm. So again, here's what it looks like on the radar for us. Again, it's right in through here. This is the back end of it, kind of just passing the Utah area now. As we zoom on in a little closer to this, kind of give you an idea of where we're talking about here. So Highway 11 runs right there from Utah heading up toward parts of the northern part of Hale County, just south of Interstate 5920, which is right up here at the top of your screen. And the storm's kind of riding right along the Highway 11 corridor at this point. So if you're in there, Utah area, definitely want to be in your safe place immediately right now. You can see a live look here over in Tuscaloosa County, kind of panning the camera around. Not seeing anything there yet, which is good news. But the Gossa area, the McClure area, you guys also are in the path of this. So you want to be in your safe place there. Here comes Highway 11 crossing right through there from Demopolis Highway 43 up to 11, which is, of course, what we just talked about there. And it continues its way toward County Road 165. Also watching out there County Road 20. State Route 14 moving just through there. So again, looks like this is maybe just past Utah, heading toward the McClure area. If you're watching us there, this is where we're talking about, heading over toward the Dora area as well as Akron and also on in toward Oak Village. So let me go ahead and look at the velocity product there, and kind of just in this location is where we're talking about with respect to where the storm is. So there you have your Dora area, Utah back to the west now of this, but you're going to be watching that pretty closely moving forward here as to what this storm is going to attempt to try to do here. Right now hasn't done anything, which is good news, but still watching this. Now you can see kind of showing a little more of a hook echo to it. So there's this storm here. What's that, Griffin? It is. It's getting a little better organized. It's likely riding right along that warm front I was talking about that's going to be coming up here from the south. We're down south of us. We're in the upper 70s versus the 60s here across the Birmingham area. So we're still watching that storm here, but we have another storm we're watching here across part of the Birmingham area. This one is just to our north now, and as that moves on in, that's actually impacting Fultondale pretty bad here with some very heavy rain and thunderstorms. This storm's continuing to work its way toward Trussville now, and as this storm continues to move on in, just a severe thunderstorm warning with this, at least at this point, that goes until 12:15. So we're going to continue watching this one here. Has not really shown much in the way of significant rotation yet, but it's starting to get a unique shape to it. So we're going to continue keeping an eye on that. Not seeing that stronger rotation showing up on velocity, which is good news. The thing with this one, it is north of that warm front I was talking about. So the conditions aren't quite as great as they are farther to the south. So that makes a difference. In either side of the warm front you are, whether you're along it or south of it, that's where we're going to be dealing with the better chance of tornadoes. If you're north of it, you have conditions for severe weather, of course, like we have, but the tornado threat is not as great yet. It won't take long before that front gets up here, but when it does, we'll be dealing with, again, the potential for that severe weather spreading across the entire area. Also up near Coleman area, points there to the north, we're looking at some flash flooding conditions for you. Heavy rain continues to fall. Saw earlier parts of I-65 near exit 308 were closed because of water over the roadway. So heavy rain is another feature with this. So we're talking potential for strong long track tornadoes today, damaging winds 70+ miles per hour, some large hail and flooding rains. So that's kind of what we're looking at here as we go forward here. Now, right now, again, severe thunderstorm here, just kind of north of Birmingham. This is headed toward Trussville, Aniana area, so be careful out there for that one. But we still have that storm producing that tornado warning as it continues to go through here. Still, let's see, keeping that one from the Weather Service, still keeping that tornado warning now. I think just kind of looking at Hale County at this point. So let me go ahead and zoom back into that storm. Storm is not really weakened much here. Now, once it crosses over the warm front, that may help to maybe weaken it just a little bit, unless it's going to be running continuously right along the warm front there. So I'm going to turn the lightning off. And It is, Griffin, you can see here, kind of get a little better shape, trying to the inflow notch we look for. This is where those winds are going into the storm, helping it to get to better organized here. And its rotation is pretty strong at this point. Looking at a debris tracker here, this is coming out of the Birmingham radar. Let me go ahead to Columbus radar and see if I can, it's a little bit closer to it. Columbus, Mississippi radar. There's your strong rotation headed right toward Akron. If you're watching us in Akron right now, you want to be in your safe place. It'll be 2 minutes away from you at this time here. That circulation will be right over your Stewart, about 6 minutes. Cypress, they're about 10 minutes. Try to give you enough lead time. Moundville, 16 minutes as well, too. So we are seeing, again, that rotation continuing to show up there at this point, and looking at the latest radar with it here, it's starting to get more of that shape we look for potentially the storm kind of getting better organized, trying to maybe try to produce something. So this is now only in Hale County. For those in Greene County, the Utah area, the storm has passed you. You still have some heavy rain, but if you're in your safe place in Utah, you can get out of it right now. But again, anywhere beyond that, all the way to Moundville, we still have to be weather alert here as the storm continues to move in, and eventually trying to cross into southern parts here of Tuscaloosa County as it moves on in. So there you see Tuscaloosa there to the north. This looks like the storm is going to be kind of moving just off to the southeast of Tuscaloosa at this point. So basically along and south Interstate 5920, riding right along really close to Highway 11 here. Of course, Highway 11 kind of cuts its way up toward Tuscaloosa. But just basically south of the interstate here is where we're watching this storm pretty closely to see what it may or may not try to do, at least at this point here. As it gets a little better organized, you can see more of that hook echo kind of showing up right now, right along the warning line there. Heading back over toward the Birmingham radar, just to kind of give you an idea of what we're looking at. Yeah, if they can work with me here. There we go. That's what we're keeping an eye. Yeah, and even looking at the velocity, it's pretty strong rotation, and that's still fairly high up in the atmosphere by the time the radar beam gets down there. So, Griffin, we're still going to be watching this one here closely, kind of timing it out here. Again, Akron got 2 minutes, Stewart around 6, 10 minutes, Cypress, Havana at 12, 16 in Moundville, all the way to Inglewood around 28 minutes. So, definitely something we need to continue watching very closely here going forward here, kind of zooming on in with this storm as it moves on in. So if you're in those areas, safe place right now, lowest level of your home, basement would be preferred. Out there under a staircase is a good place as well too if it's in the middle part of your home, away from windows as well. Let's take a live look at Tuscaloosa there. You can see not much going on there, some low clouds zipping by. But we do have, aside to this, Griffin, we have some really strong winds that have been blowing around there, haven't we?
Yeah, and potentially some pea-sized hail that's falling on that section of the Black Warrior River here. We've got, there's your forward flank downdraft here. If there is a tornado, this will be passing just to the north of Akron. If you're in Moundville, I would definitely take this one seriously because it's tracking right up to the northeast like that, and that would eventually have it crossing over Highway 69 in northern Hale County and southern Tuscaloosa County. There's the rotation that you see right there. This will be crossing over White Road, approaching County Road 21, County Road 46, all of these areas that are on the southern end of Moundville. You definitely need to take this storm seriously. That tornado warning in effect until 12:30 p.m. If you're in Utah, this has definitely passed you. If you're in Utah, you're in the clear. But if you're in Akron, you need to stay sheltered immediately. It looks like this will be passing just to the north of that little downtown area. If there is any if there is a tornado there, that's where it would be. As Dave mentioned, the radar beam is still pretty elevated at this distance. You know, we're looking about 4,000 feet up into the storm. So if there is a tornado, it would be beneath that. But there's certainly enough indication there that the storm is rotating, that it's definitely capable of producing a tornado. And once again, this will be crossing over White Road in northern Hale County, just near Akron. Within a couple of minutes. So Moundville, stay sheltered. Again, that tornado warning in effect until 12:30 p.m. And of course, we're watching that second storm, which of course, as Dave mentioned, is not really showing any sign of rotation, but there is definitely some damaging winds in there. This northeastern Jefferson County storm that is passing to the northeast of Trussville, impacting places like Springville and Margaret. Check out the lightning strikes here, 123 of them in the past 15 minutes. Very impressive storm there. This severe thunderstorm warning in effect for just the next little less than 15 minutes. A lot of heavy rain coming down now in Center Point. We just had a pretty good burst of winds there in Center Point as well. So again, keeping a close eye on this storm. So Michael, if you're ready, I'll toss it to you.
Yeah, Griffin, and we want to emphasize this is just the beginning of a very long day today. This is the first of what will likely be many tornado warnings. Again, this tornado warning for Greene and Hale counties until 12:30. It's not overly impressive, but it's tightening up a bit. And we're coming up on that time frame that we've talked about now for the past couple of days, beginning around lunchtime, which is where we are right now, through midnight tonight. This is going to be a long stretch, so you need to know exactly where your storm shelter, your storm safe place is. That's the smallest room, the lowest floor, away from all windows of your home or your business. Just know where that is right now. And you cannot be in a mobile home. You just can't. You have to make arrangements at this point because we don't want to get you down to the last minute with a tornado potentially approaching your location and you have no options in terms of your safe place. So plan right now, please. This is going to be a long afternoon. This is a different setup than last week. And that said, we still had 25 confirmed tornadoes last Wednesday. This looks like we could have fewer tornadoes, but stronger tornadoes today, this afternoon, into this evening. So as you look right now, we have this severe thunderstorm warning coming out of Jefferson County into Blount County, Calhoun County, Etowah County. This is due to the potential for damaging straight line wind and large hail. Something that's not included in the severe criteria is lightning, but that is something that you have to be careful with as well. Lightning does not determine whether or not a thunderstorm is severe, but it is deadly. So we do not want you outside with lightning around. We can't predict where lightning is going to strike. It's easier to track a tornado because with one lightning strike, that could do it. So that's another reason to stay inside as conditions continue to deteriorate this afternoon. So we look at Greene and Hale counties now under this tornado warning until 12:30 this afternoon. 12:30 this afternoon. This does not look like a classic setup, at least not within this storm, for a large long track tornadoes. But as Dave just mentioned, we have this unstable air coming in from the south, coming in from the Gulf of Mexico, and all these ingredients will just come together. And they'll do so very quickly today, and that will lead likely to widespread tornadoes. And I said it throughout the morning show ad nauseum. The I-59 corridor and points northwest of there, along and northwest of a line, from Tuscaloosa to Birmingham to Gadsden, this is a setup for some large, long-track tornadoes. Outside of that, absolutely. Anniston, Gadsden, Oxford, Talladega, Sylacauga, there is still a threat for you as well. So we don't want you to be complacent in East Alabama. It's just that the parameters are coming together more so along and northwest of I-59. So we'll take you into Moundville. Tuscaloosa, this is not your storm to worry about at this point. But we look at that, we have that inflow notch right there, guys, and this is beginning to look more and more like a storm that can and likely will produce a tornado. As of right now, it's not all that tightly wrapped. We're showing you the velocity right now, the inflow and the outflow from this storm, the storm relative velocity going toward and away from the radar site. And this, again, is tightening up just a bit, so we have to be on our toes. Your safe place right now, Moundville. I know you had a rough go last week, and we're going to do it again today. That's just the fact of the matter. Moundville, you have to be in your safe place here as we speak. Smallest room, lowest floor, away from all windows, a hole going back toward Duncanville and the I-59-20 corridor. Now is not the time to be driving between, we'll say between Coaling, Vance, and Tuscaloosa. Please do not be on the road. That includes the Mercedes plant in Vance. I know that you're probably coming up on some shift changes. That doesn't matter. Just be in your safe place right now until this storm passes. Dave?
All right, thanks so much right now, Michael. We are looking at, again, there's two areas of storms, one with that tornado warning we just talked about in Hale County, although also up here across part of the Birmingham area. We're dealing with some pretty hefty thunderstorm here. Not seeing rotation with this one. We definitely are, hence the tornado warning there off to the south and west of Birmingham. Zooming in on first there with the storm here kind of just north of Birmingham, kind of coming closer into the Trussville area and be over toward Aniana. We are picking up, again, some pretty heavy rain. I did have a report of some quarter-size hail with this storm as well, too, as it moved on through part of the Gardendale area, not far, of course, from Fultondale. So that's what some of the magenta color you see in here would be some of that hail. So as this continues moving off through Springville, you're going to be doing some very heavy rains. If you're watching us out there, don't be surprised to see some small hail mixed in with this, too. Some gusty winds potentially. You can see winds easily here with 60 miles per hour. A lot of winds even outside the thunderstorms. You probably noticed some of those clouds zipping by above your head there at a fairly low level. That is that inflow, the jet stream, the lowest levels of the atmosphere coming on in. that bringing in all that moisture from the Gulf of Mexico right up our way, and that's what we're dealing with again as the storm continues to move on in. So from Springville area, Margaret area, Audenville area, be careful of this here. Headed just outside of Trustful. Storm's about past you at this point, and kind of giving you an idea of where this is going. Argo there around 2 minutes, Margaret around 5, Springville 9 minutes here when the bulk of the heavier part of the storm comes moving on in. Asheville 21 minutes, over toward Raglan there about 24 minutes. So still looking at this as it continues to march its way here off there to the northeast with that severe thunderstorm warning now in effect, the new one here until 1:15 this afternoon. So we're going to still dealing with this lasting for a little while longer here. Still very, very heavy rain coming from this storm as well. So we'll continue to watch this one here as it kind of moves there off fairly quickly. I'll go ahead and move it for you here off to the east, about say 40 miles per hour. So these storms are moving here fairly quickly as we go forward here on in throughout this lunch hour here. It's 12:09 current time right now, so we're still looking at that moving on in. The other storm we've been watching, again, the one down here farther to the south as we go just south of Tuscaloosa. We still have that tornado warning for down there in Hale County at this point. This storm continues to get better organized here. Haven't had a report yet of a tornado with this one, but it does have that shape we look for, that classic hook echo we call it here as we analyze everything. And so with that in mind, we do have this one here. It does have the potential to possibly produce a tornado at any moment. That's why you need to be in your safe place here, kind of just off to the south of Moundville. Going to be clipping just past the Moundville area as well, and pretty close here to Tuscaloosa County. So I wouldn't be surprised if we do get a warning coming out for Tuscaloosa County with this one here shortly from the Weather Service. It is moving in that direction here. Kind of give you an idea here, kind of put it in motion of where this is. Kind of working its way off there from southwest to northeast. Many of the storms are going to be moving in that direction during the day today here. So looking back at the reflectivity, again, this is what we're talking about. That is the location of this circulation here south of the Moundville area. And again, no report yet still here of a tornado, but potentially we could see some of that. That's some of the wind going on in. Some of those severe thunderstorm winds just immediately south of Moundville, at least at this point. So kind of giving you a better perspective of what we're talking about here. Kind of moving on in as we'll go here back and if we can get the data to come back in. Let's see, go here. There we go. Looking back at what we're talking about, zooming on in a little tighter to the storm here, kind of just near the Moundville area. That is where we do have, again, Highway 11 just south of 5920 corridor right now. And you can see some of these, the storms kind of getting a little bit more interesting shape to it here, as it does have kind of that hook echo. You can see where Moundville currently is located. You have some very heavy rain, maybe some hail mixed in, but this is the kind of part we're looking at right in through here, kind of giving you an idea what we're talking about. This is where we look at the rotation. This is the area we're watching, right in this area here. So if you're watching us right now, we'll go ahead and take that for you. Moundville about 6 minutes, 5 minutes for you. Hull around 11 minutes, Maxwell 14, Duncanville 17, same for you in Inglewood. Hagler 24, Grimes around 27 minutes. So you want to be in your safe place. The storm looks like it's trying to get better organized here, potentially could produce a tornado at least at any point. So we need to be aware that this has the chance of producing a tornado here fairly quickly at this time. That velocity is looking pretty get stronger out there, and we're seeing that shape, very interesting shape to this as well too, the storm. And so with that in mind, this is that storm we're going to be keeping an eye on. Here's the Tuscaloosa line right up here. So the warning goes to the line there for Tuscaloosa County. I wouldn't be surprised if we do see that warning extended up there based off the shape of the storm. Now, as I had mentioned before with the storm here, as it continues to work its way in, it does clearing the Akron and Utah area, but it's riding right along that warm front. So that's where the divider is between the really warm and humid air versus just some mild air coming on in at this point. There you go. Tornado warning coming in now, Tuscaloosa till 1:15. So they just extended that. It'll pop in the system here momentarily. But that's for that same storm we're watching here. It does have the chance of being that potentially moving on in. There you see that new warning coming on in. That warning does go till 1:15. So if you're watching us in Tuscaloosa, the storm is moving just to your south, but definitely going to be moving into parts there of the Tuscaloosa County area. And then eventually, if it holds together, we'll have to see if it does try to get in closer to Birmingham. But it's, again, right along that warm front, and that's what's key here, and that's what's allowing it to definitely produce that chance of maybe a tornado down here. Again, the rotation with it is fairly strong. The shape of it is definitely something we watch for here for potential for a tornado, kind of working its way on in. Looking at the reflectivity, or velocity rather, I should say. This is that spin. Remember, velocity means spin. You're looking for counterclockwise circulation. And this is going to be heading there toward that coaling area eventually. So Hull around 11 minutes, Maxwell 14, Duncanville 16 minutes. This is a lead time for you over towards, say, Inglewood, about 15 minutes till it gets to your area there as well. Heading toward Grimes around 26 and about 29 minutes for the coaling area. So if you're watching us in those areas, do need to be prepared for this storm as it continues to move on in. You can see here kind of where its strongest rotation is right now and where it's going to be heading, at least at this point. So if you're in those areas, kind of northern part of Hale County, southern and southeastern part of Tuscaloosa County, you have to be in your safe place right now. You should already have that figured out, have all the supplies you need in that location as well too, as the storm continues to move on closer and closer to you. Here again is the storm we're watching. This is the area we're going to be watching south of the Moundville area. Looks like Moundville, you got the heavy rain, maybe some hail mixed in with you as well too at this point, and it's going to continue working its way here, basically along here and just south of Interstate 5920, not too far away from Highway 11 and through this area as well. Not a huge thunderstorm here, has not produced a tornado, at least as of yet, which is good. Looking at our debris tracker, not quite seeing anything yet, but definitely something to watch here. Again, that storm is starting to get a little better organized. The rotation with it is much stronger here as well too. So with that in mind, I'm going to continue watching just to see if this will try to possibly produce a tornado. If not, you may have to deal with those 60, 70 mile per hour winds, possibly very, very heavy rain, of course, and maybe some of that hail across the area. So that is including right now kind of northern part of Hale County and off to the central, the southern part of Tuscaloosa County. Tuscaloosa itself, you're not in this, it's going to be moving just south of the 5920 corridor, and it continues here off there to the northeast, as you'll notice that motion here kind of making its way up into parts there from Alabama, from Mississippi, and eventually kind of working its way closer and closer toward potentially here Jefferson County if it holds together. So there's Hoover. You can see location of the storm basically going to be going right along the interstate at this time. So be watching this one to see just exactly how this one is going to be playing out. But it does have the rotation. It is in an area where we've been talking about all day today for favorable for us to be able to see tornadoes. And this is kind of the first one we've seen thus far here. Just to give you an idea of what we're looking at, something like this all day long. I suspect we'll see many more of these developing here. Parts of northern Mississippi and eventually here in northwestern part of Alabama will be feeling the influence of this. So this is kind of right on the fringe of that, right where that high risk to moderate risk is. It doesn't matter if you're in high risk, moderate, enhanced, or slight, or even marginal. You still have a threat for tornadoes today. The only difference is the highest high risk areas where your greatest chance and coverage of tornadoes is expected to be out there for today. Again, still looking at everything here north of Birmingham. We still have some pretty intense storms coming on in there. I don't want to forget about you across part of St. Clair County, heading on into just outside of Jefferson County, Etowah County. You're going to be watching this one as well. This storm is kind of moving just through Springville right now, and over top of the Margaret area. There's probably where Hale is likely going to be coming on down at this point, heading right into Asheville at this time. So as this continues on that track there, kind of giving you an idea of what we're talking about here. Asheville around 16 minutes, Raglan around 20 minutes for you, Steele around 24, Ottery 27, and Leicester about 29 minutes with this one. Griffin?
And Dave, that same storm has a history of producing hail. Back in Gardendale, we have this picture on the side of quarter-sized hail that fell in Gardendale. That report coincides, or that picture coincides with the report the Weather Service got about 15 minutes ago of that quarter-sized hail that fell with that same storm that's headed towards Asheville and Springville right now. Obviously, our main concern is this new storm, it's not a new storm. It's a storm that has a history of radar-indicated rotation that passed through northern Hale County. This new tornado warning got a bunch of new folks tuning in Tuscaloosa County. This is not going to impact downtown Tuscaloosa. This is down to the south of Tuscaloosa as you travel down Highway 82. In the southern part of the county, if you live along Highway 82, south of Tuscaloosa, kind of southwest of Coaling, you need to be in your safe place because there's an area of rotation that just passed to the south of Moundville. You don't even have to look at the velocity here. You can see the rotation here and that classic, kidney bean supercell shape. It's another one of those supercell storms, just like what we dealt with last week. So this storm has not produced any official confirmation of a tornado, but there's enough evidence there to continue that tornado warning into northern Bibb County and southeastern Tuscaloosa County. And you do have a lot of lead time. I mean, this extends all the way out to Lakeview. This is about an hour of lead time with this potential tornado. So I know that it would take a long time to get to you if you're in Vance, or coaling, but you do kind of have to definitely have your guard up. You probably don't need to go to your safe place immediately if you're in coaling or Vance, but in a few minutes time, if this holds together, you definitely need to go ahead and head to that interior room. But if you're closer to that area of rotation, let's pull up some of the crossroads if I can, because the rotation is certainly there. I mean, you definitely have the greens touching the reds. You've got it passing over South Sandy Road soon. It says State Highway 6, but that's the same as Highway 82 coming out of Tuscaloosa. It's a pretty rural part of the state, but if you live near National Forest Road 706, you need to head to your safe place as well. It's in a pretty wooded area, but fortunately, our main concern was obviously Moundville. This storm appears to have passed down to the southeast of Moundville. So good news for Moundville. It appears to have cleared the area for you guys if you're in the immediate vicinity of Moundville, but if you're down to the southeast of it, kind of stay put for a little bit longer. So that new tornado warning for Tuscaloosa County and Bibb County continues until around 1:15 p.m. The Weather Service did mention some possibility of what's called side lobe contamination. In layman's terms, that just means the rotation looks a little bit stronger than it actually is. And also, you take into account that we're kind of looking up high up into the storm. So this rotation may be pretty strong, but it's not at the surface. That could be the case here. So it's certainly possible that it could produce a tornado. It's definitely rotating, but it's not a given just yet. Regardless, if you're in that warning polygon, you need to go ahead and make those safety plans if you can. So that tornado warning, once again, if you're in Brent, if you're in Centerville, if you're in Lakeview, Brookwood, much of the same places that were actually hit last week by that strong EF-1 tornado that hit on St. Patrick's Day. Lakeview, Brookwood, Coaling, go ahead and get to that safe place one more time while this storm passes. So once again, radar indicated area of rotation, which has passed Moundville. It's fully past Moundville. I think I can say that with confidence, that if you're in Moundville, you're in the clear. So that's some good news. But obviously, it's not the last storm that we have today. For those of you just tuning in, let me give you the broader picture here. We do. Oh, okay. Yep, we do have an area of debris here that's showing up now. Dave just pointed that out. So let's pull up the correlation coefficient, and there you go. That is enough indication for us to say that there is a tornado now. So there is a tornado that is passing over County Road 50 here, approaching South Sandy Road. So if you're anywhere east, just east of Moundville, or just south of Highway 82 in southern Tuscaloosa County, you need to go ahead and head to your safe place. Once again, this will not be impacting the city of Tuscaloosa, but if you're south of Tuscaloosa, kind of further out of town, maybe about 10, 15 minutes down the road outside of town, go ahead and head to your safe place right now, because there is a TDS, otherwise known as a tornado debris signature. If you're in Duncanville, head to your shelter. This will be near you in about 11 minutes. If you're in Hagler, 18 minutes from you. Harmon, 23 minutes, and Coaling, about 25 minutes away from you. Michael, over to you.
Yeah, Griffith, you're talking about that area of rotation, and it is tightening up, as you just mentioned. That's going to be, and talked about it being a forested area, that's going to be very close to the Okmulgee Wildlife Refuge, just south of Tuscaloosa. A beautiful place. I've been there many times, especially when I was in school at the University of Alabama. But in and around that area, just south of downtown Tuscaloosa, heading up toward the Interstate 59 corridor, you have to be in your safe place, and you have to be there now. And just get ready to do this at times throughout the day, because this is going to be a rough afternoon. I'm very concerned. Also, let's look at East Alabama, Anniston, Gadsden. That's showing some indication. That storm heading toward the Calhoun County line, outside of moving through St. Clair County, near Asheville, or just south of Asheville, toward Raglan. So if you live in, let's say, Ohatchee, if you live in Alexandria, even Jacksonville, potentially as far south as Anniston, we have to keep a close eye on this for you. Even though it's not a tornadic storm right now, that could change at any point. But the storm of concern at the moment, very close to Tuscaloosa, just southeast of the city of Tuscaloosa, edging toward Vance. So as Griffin has already mentioned, if you live in Vance, Coaling, or even the West Blocton exit, you have to be in your safe place. That's the smallest room, lowest floor, away from all windows. Dave?
All right, again, this is what we're talking about here, that tornado here in northern part of Hale County and then Tuscaloosa County just here to the north. Again, this is our debris tracker, and we are showing, again, pretty significant debris starting to show up here now on our indicator here. So this is what we need to be aware of, just exactly what we're talking about here. Again, this is off to now almost the due east of Moundville. Moundville, you're not involved with this, which is good, but you see that blue shade kind of mixed in with all the reds. That is the indication here what we're talking about with the threat for that tornado. So you can see here on a reflectivity, there you see that would be kind of that debris ball we know too well here, kind of moving up there as well too with some of the high reflectivity, strong rotation with it, and of course we are talking about debris coming in with this. So if you're watching us in this location here, you need to be definitely taking shelter right now. National Forest Road 706, if you live along that road, you're going to be dealing with this. South Sandy Road here in Tuscaloosa County, you need to be aware of that. County Road, say 50 right now. The storm has just passed over that area right now, back over toward County Road 44. They're kind of coming together there. This is the storm we're continuing to watch here. Not too far away from, let's see, is that China Grove Road there? I'm trying to say here, China Grove Road, just north of you, north of the Phillips area. Is what we're doing at Phipps area. That's where you can see this is where we're talking about. That is where our tornado is located right now. So kind of getting a little tighter in here, showing you exactly some of the locations. Unfortunately, this is not a really highly populated area as we saw last week with some of the storms that moved on in, but you can see here with that in mind. So I'm going to go ahead and give you a better idea here, tracking this and just locations that are involved with this as well too, giving you an idea of what we're talking about. Hagler, if you're watching us there, you got 13 minutes to this heads up your way. Little Hope, 16 minutes. Harmon, 18 minutes. Coaling, 20 minutes. Same for Eoline there, as well as in Stewart Settlement. Going over towards Scottsville, 22 minutes. Over toward Belchers, there around 24 minutes at this time. So if you're watching us in those locations, safe please. Immediately, lowest level of your home, away from windows. Again, interior room and bathroom or closet. If you don't have a basement, obviously the best place to be there. If you not, go under a staircase, the middle part of your house. Make sure you have your helmets on too, shoes on as well, so in case this does come right through. Still seeing again a pretty good continuation here of that rotation. That tornado warning goes till 12:30 here for Hale County, and it currently is 12:24, but up there in Tuscaloosa County going a little bit longer there until right around 1:15 this afternoon. So there's our location of the tornado, and that is we're going to continue watching this here. It's been on the ground here for probably at least debris showing up here for about maybe 5 minutes or so, maybe 6-7 minutes with that. But that's the storm we're going to continue to watch as it moves on in. And as it continues to do so, there you see Highway 11, it's just south of Interstate 5920, but it's about to cross from Hale County on in toward Tuscaloosa County at this time. Live look there, you can see Tuscaloosa. We keep an eye on it. Tuscaloosa, the city itself, you're not going to get directly impacted by this, which is some good news. So we don't need to worry about that one at this time here. But this is the storm we're watching. This is, again, we're seeing confirmed tornado indicated by Doppler radar at this point of where we're going to be dealing with again. So this storm is going to continue racing here off there to the northeast. And as it does so, it's moving fairly quickly, about 40 or so miles per hour. And this is the main storm right now that we're talking about with a confirmed tornado based off of what we see on Doppler radar right now. You can see there's the Tuscaloosa camera pointing toward the storm. Tuscaloosa, again, the city of Tuscaloosa, you're not going to be directly impacted by this. There's Tuscaloosa, storms down due south of you, heading off to the north. So this one's going to be moving, staying away from Tuscaloosa, but Coaling area, definitely heading your way toward West Blocton, right along Highway 11, over toward the Interstate 5920 corridor. Again, the storm hit at least Doppler radar indicating right now that the storm does have rotation with it. That is that little area we're watching right in through there, and you'll see here we're kind of zooming into this a little bit better too. We're talking about that storm coming just over right along the county line now, Griffin, and still producing some pretty good debris showing up there, at least with our debris tracker indicated by the Doppler radar.
Yeah, definitely, Dave, and this is pretty consistent. We just got a new scan of the radar just in the past couple of seconds here, and this is right on top of the Hale-Tuscaloosa County line. This is going to be passing really close to Duncanville. Right there, it's a bullseye. That is without a doubt there is a tornado there because, you know, you really have to, anytime there's a TDS like this, there's almost, 99% certainty that there's a tornado there. So you need to take this seriously. Obviously, that with that Tuscaloosa camera, we're looking at it from the north. All the heavy rain is in the way. We're not going to be able to see it, unfortunately. But it doesn't matter. If seeing it or not, this is certainly enough evidence that that you need to take the storm seriously. So if you're in Hagler, you're the next community that's in line to potentially be impacted by this. So if you're in Hagler, definitely stay sheltered for until further notice, until this thing passes. Same goes for Duncanville. This is all of the southern area of Tuscaloosa County that we're concerned with right now. So again, Duncanville and Hagler, get to your safe spot right now. Interior room, away from doors and windows. You can't be in a mobile home. If you're in a mobile home, just stay put though, because you can't. I wouldn't go out and drive during this either. So just hold steady for a little bit longer and wait for this storm to pass, because there is we are almost positive that there is a tornado there, and it is passing over South Sandy Road. Labeled on the map here, it says State Route 6. This is actually Highway 82 coming out of Tuscaloosa. This is just south of Duncanville. Duncanville, you're really close though. So anybody who lives along South Sandy Road, County Road 37, Hargrove Road, as you move farther east, stay in your safe spot until further notice. Until we give you the all clear, just stay put. Same goes for Pearson. This is going to be coming pretty close to you as well. All of these little towns that are in the southern suburbs of Tuscaloosa County, definitely stay put, because that's definitely a debris ball that's right there crossing over South Sandy Road. And it's been consistent. I mean, there's the new scan. It's still there. It's not showing any sign of weakening. It's been on the ground for at least 10 minutes now, and we're keeping a very close eye on this. It's just going to be passing just south of Duncanville, but it may be approaching places like Hagler. So stay put for just a little bit longer. If you're just now tuning in, let me give you a quick reset here. Give everybody their bearings here. This is the storm that we're talking about. The broader picture here. There's a tornado down in southern Tuscaloosa County right now that's tracking up to the northeast towards Duncanville and Hagler. We have another storm that has a severe thunderstorm warning with it that produced some hail in Gardendale that's impacting Gadsden and Anniston right now. As of right now, though, it's much farther north of the warm front, so in all likelihood, it's not going to produce anything tornadic. It's just going to be a lot of heavy rain, a lot of lightning, potentially some damaging winds. Still something you need to take seriously, but you don't have to worry about a tornado if you're up towards Gadsden or Anniston at this point. Obviously, our main concern is this storm now that is in southern Tuscaloosa County. Michael, if you're ready, over to you.
Yeah, Griffin. And again, the storm of concern right now moving into the southern part of Tuscaloosa County. It's coming out of a fairly rural area. The problem is it's getting awfully close now to Interstate 59 and 20. Of course, that takes you from Tuscaloosa to Vance to Birmingham. Of course, we have the Mercedes plant right here. And notice how the area of rotation, if it maintains its course, will come awfully close to the Mercedes plant. So we don't want you leaving that installation. I know we're on lunchtime here, but don't leave your current location. Just stay in your safe place and don't be driving along Interstate 59 and 20. That includes Vance, West Blocton here, this exit. We have that Chevron gas station right there on the southern end of the interstate. But this storm moving on off to the northeast. Now, this is our short-term model forecast to show you where this will go. We'll take it out to 1:30, coming again very close out of Tuscaloosa County, the southern part of Tuscaloosa County, near Bessemer. And if it holds together, it will come along very close to 1:30. Don't take it down to the exact minute, okay? But within the next hour, close to Birmingham. And conditions will become more and more favorable over the next several hours. So remember, even though we don't have widespread tornadoes at the moment, the atmosphere will become much more primed and unstable through this afternoon. We've warned you about that, and your time is running out to get prepared for all this. In terms of the storm coming out of St. Clair County into Calhoun and Etowah County, that will move on off into Georgia, crossing the state line through Cherokee and Cleburne counties over toward and then eventually Haralson County in Georgia. So don't travel that direction. So bottom line today, you need to go ahead and make plans right now to be in your safe place. That's the smallest room, lowest floor, away from all windows. I know many schools are out for spring break, so you might have your kids at home, or perhaps parents or grandparents are keeping them. Make sure they know exactly what to do. Smallest room, lowest floor, away from all windows, and we'll stick with you right here through this whole thing.
All right, thanks so much, Michael. Right now, again, still watching that storm, still has that debris signature as we talk about here. The technical term, basically debris is being lifted in the air by a tornado. Doppler radar is indicating that it is not rain or precipitation, but rather debris, and that is moving off there from the southwest to the northeast. Again, if you're in Hagler, safe place right now, Harmon area, Stewart Settlement, Scottsville, you're going to be in there about 10 minutes for you. Headed to the Belchers area, 14 minutes. Banks around 17 minutes to you. Shawtown around 19 minutes. West Blocton, again, 20 minutes. Kind of a lead time for you, so you need to be in a safe place. And you can see if we get all the way over toward Hebron, around 25 minutes, 27 minutes or so. So this is moving there off there for about 45 miles per hour from the southwest to the northeast here. And again, we're going to keep an eye on this moving forward here, because if it does hold together, could possibly try to get its way closer on in toward Jefferson County. Right now, that's not the case, but definitely be watching this. There's the West Blocton area. There's Vance. So again, this is Interstate 5920 to your north, A82 corridor. It's about to cross right over top of the 82 corridor now, and as it continues moving there off there to the northeast, we'll keep an eye and see exactly where this is going here. But again, just to give you an idea, there's where Alabaster is located, Hoover. So again, if this holds together, could become dangerously close there in about 30-45 minutes. Again, if we're going to watch this to see if that is the case. So if you're watching us out in those areas, part of Jefferson or Shelby County, definitely keep an eye on this. Looks at the latest scan dish, shows some of that debris, not quite as intense. That's some good news. That means the storm has weakened just a little bit. Going back to the reflectivity here, this is their Doppler radar image of it. Still seeing again that hook echo with it. Obviously, we did have that report of a confirmed tornado by the Doppler radar here. I've not seen anything. Fortunately, it's moved over a very rural area. Yes, I know many of you still live there, but it's not one of the bigger populated areas. So we've probably a lot of trees down. If you have that really strong smell of pine in the air, it's likely pine trees have been sheared off by this likely tornado as well too. At least the Doppler radar indicating that too at this time. So there's we can see it's crossing right over Highway 82. Again, as Griffin pointed out, it says 6, but this is the Highway 82 corridor right now, heading its way on into Tuscaloosa County, Hale County. If you were in your safe place, you're in the clear. You can get out of your safe place there in Hale County as this continues to work its way on in toward Tuscaloosa County right now, kind of the southern part there of Tuscaloosa County. If you're watching us here, Coaling area, Vance, need to be in your safe place immediately. Brookwood, you got hit by the tornado about a week ago. This one looks like it may be coming pretty close to you as well too, so definitely keep an eye on that. Lakeview area as well. Definitely keep a close eye on this. You're starting to see some of that rain moving in now. The tornadic part of the storm will be farther here to the south. Looking at the reflective velocity here, still showing some rotation to it. Looks like it's starting to weaken a little bit. That's great news, but it's not gone. So that's why we're definitely keeping an eye on it. You can see our crew kind of driving through Tuscaloosa right now there on the other side of your screen. Looking at our debris tracker, though, still showing up in the debris right at this point, so we're not seeing it quite as impressive as it once did. That's wonderful news. We love to see that is the case there as well, too. But this is where we're watching. That is where our debris indicator is still showing debris is being lofted in the air by this tornado being picked up there. And you can still see it's kind of showing up. Here's Highway 82 corridor. It is crossing right over top of that location right now. So zooming on into where that debris is, we are going to continue watching this storm here. Hagler, it's coming right over top of you, probably right over top of you as we speak. So this is the debris. This is what we're talking about, the tornado. Again, remember, this is a snapshot. So just think about if you're driving or sitting next to an interstate, you see an 18-wheeler coming, you take a picture of it. By the time you look at your phone and then go look at the 18-wheeler, it's already well down the road. Doppler radar works the exact same way. So last scan headed here, it's probably right over top of Hagler to Pearson. Better be in your safe place. Again, we're talking about the tornado moving right over top of the 82 corridor at this point, heading right through your town here. Again, lowest level of your home, away from windows. Basement is definitely preferred, not in a mobile home. If any one of you are watching us right now and you live in a mobile home, you need to find a better place to be, a sturdy building, someplace, or at least a storm shelter nearby you to hang out in, because this is just the first of what we'll see many more of these developing throughout the afternoon hours. I know we just had this a little over a week ago, but as many of you know, this is the time of year. This is very common to see tornadoes this time of year in central part of Alabama, really all of Alabama, and rather the deep south. Again, this is Dixie Alley after all. We're used to this in springtime. So we're going to go through another event together, just like we did last week. We're going to do it again this week. So do be prepared for this to continue to move on in. There is where our location of the tornado is at this point. So we're going to continue watching that. If you're watching us in Vance area, Coaling area, West Blocton, again, the storm is not gone. It has not totally weakened yet. May not see as much debris being lofted into the air, but it's still being showing up there here on our debris tracker. Look at the latest reflectivity. There again, your hook echo. Heavy rain likely some hail coming into Coaling, about to get into the Vance area at this time as well. So you're still going to be looking at that. Seeing some more showers kind of popping up here out ahead of this storm itself. But this is the main individual supercell. It's these individual ones. The ones that are all by themselves. They have the greatest chance to produce tornadoes, some of them potentially long track and strong out there for the day today. I'll go ahead and put a little loop on this here for the last, say, 45 minutes. And you can see that storm as it continues coming up here. Maybe moving immediately just near or south of Coaling. Here's Interstate 5920, Highway 11 corridor, just crossing over 82 right now, Highway 82, and then heading toward the West Blocton area and Vance at this time. That storm is coming up your way, and as it continues to move up your way, again, has the threat there for potential for a tornado. Looking at the velocity here, not quite as intense as it once was. That does mean it's weakened a little bit, but it's not gone. So we can't put our guard down here at all with this storm here. But looking at our debris tracker now, you'll see again, still showing some of that debris at this point. Again, it's not as impressive as it once did, so that is a little bit of some good news. But you can see here we had that coming through as it moved on in. It did produce, it was a tornado at some point, but definitely continuing watching this one here as well with that storm. And Griffin, we're continuing to watch this one here. For those in the path, need to be in your safe place now.
Yeah, absolutely, Dave. And anytime you have a TDS pop up, that is all the evidence you need for you to go to your safe place. Now, here's the good news. This tornado, we can call it a tornado with a debris signature, it's past Duncanville. It's cleared Duncanville, and it is passing most likely down to the southeast of Duncanville. Also, some more good news. The debris signature is not as loud, so to speak. You know, you normally have those deeper blues show up when you have a large tornado on the ground. It's not as strong of a signature now, but that is probably not enough evidence if you're in, especially Hagler, if you're near Coaling, if you're in any of these communities in western Bibb County. Definitely stay put. Places like Little Hope, Harmon, Scottsville, farther to the southwest of West Blocton. This does include West Blocton this warning, so if you're in West Blocton, which is one of the more populated areas of Bibb County, definitely stay put for just a little bit longer before we wait for this storm to pass. It's definitely tracking up to the northeast, so especially if you're in Vance. Coaling, probably a little bit too close to call for you guys, so just stay put for a little bit longer. That includes the Mercedes plant as well. So once again, if we do have a tornado, that's the debris signature associated with it. Again, not quite as vigorous as it was a couple of scans ago. And let me switch over to reflectivity. Obviously, the velocity signature is not as impressive either. And here's probably what's happening. We have this little cluster of showers here. That's probably interfering with the inflow of the storm. And whenever you have these showers, you have stable air going into it, that's a good thing. That means that the storm doesn't have enough moist, unstable air to feed off of. Whenever you have rain-cooled air going into a storm, that can obviously cause it to weaken a little bit. And that's probably what's happening here, is that it's not really it's certainly kind of cycling a little bit, and probably not as profound as it once was a few scans ago. So again, we switch over to velocity, and the rotation does not really appear to be there anymore. But obviously, we can't say for sure that you need to. We can't give you an all clear just yet, because obviously this storm, without a doubt, produced a tornado when it was in southern Tuscaloosa County, northern Hale County. Obviously not a very well populated part of the state, but it's certainly enough to kind of extend that warning farther downstream into farther southeastern Tuscaloosa County and northern Bibb County. So Dave, that's definitely some good news that it's kind of weakened a little bit. Michael, if you're ready, I'll toss it to you.
Yeah, Griffin, and we want to point out here, we do have this storm coming into Tuscaloosa, the city of Tuscaloosa, along Interstate 359. Of course, that takes you right into Lorraine B. Wallace Boulevard in the city of Tuscaloosa, heading back off toward Northport. That is not part of the storm under a tornado warning. That is east of Tuscaloosa, east of Cottondale, and coming very close now to I-59 and 20. So again, Coaling, Vance, the Mercedes plant, you have to be in your safe place here as we speak. Brookwood, this area of rotation passing just to your south and southeast. Now we're getting closer and closer now to Birmingham. We're coming up on 1241. We're at 1241 now. This is the scan for the next hour as this storm will pass through Jefferson County. And as Griffin just mentioned, it could very well be cycling. So if it holds together and we get into this environment where these storms this afternoon will become more and more favorable to produce tornadoes, we have to watch very carefully Jefferson County all the way through Bessemer, Birmingham, Interstate 65, I-459, I-20, and heading back off to the east, not as dramatic in terms of the intensity in Etowah County, Blount County, but leads along I-20. Toward your direction, conditions will become, again, don't let this fool you, because conditions will become more favorable for tornadic thunderstorms. We're looking at temperatures now all the way into the, let's see, Alexander City at 76 degrees. But the main parameters coming together over northwest Alabama, Tuscaloosa now at 74. So just because you had that thunderstorm, that very likely tornado moving through the southeast part of Tuscaloosa County, we're only just beginning this. This will be a long duration event. And now, guys, it looks, have y'all seen the latest SPC update? Birmingham now included in the high-risk area. So the Storm Prediction Center, this is just now coming in, has now expanded the high-risk area to include Birmingham, Jefferson County, and all the way to the county line of Calhoun County, St. Clair County, Etowah County. So we're just getting started, all right? You have to stay with us today, and it's very rare to have a high risk, much less 2 high-risk days within 8 days of each other. So strong tornadoes likely, especially within that high-risk area. And as we've talked about this morning, please don't, let's say a tornado develops in Shelby County, it's not going to decide all of a sudden, once it moves out of a high-risk area into a moderate-risk area, that it's going to weaken. So I don't want folks in Anniston, Talladega, Sylacauga, Sycamore to become complacent because these storms mean business as we progress throughout the day.
All right, thanks a lot, Michael, and thanks, guys, for all those updates throughout the day. We want to show you some of the visuals that we're seeing out there. We've got Jake Chapman driving in Tuscaloosa near U of A campus. So, Jake, tell us a little bit about what you're seeing at this point.
Well, Con, the rain has really been coming down the past few minutes. You can see right there a lot of splashing on the side of the road right here. We're right now going down right past University Boulevard, and again, we're seeing traffic going at a normal pace right now, even though rain has really picked up. We've seen some lightning strikes throughout the area, but I've also talked to emergency management and the Tuscaloosa Fire Department. Good news so far is that there have been no reports of damage yet. Some minor flooding in some back roads, but other than that, just this is what we see right now. Heavy rain coming down right here near Alabama's campus. We're going to be out here monitoring the situation a little bit, but stay with us. It's going to be a lot of rain out there today, so just stay with us both on air and online. But Con, I'll send it back to you right now.
Yeah, you see the water when he hits that ponding area too. Some dangerous driving, right, Jake?
Yeah. Very dangerous driving right now, guys. If you could avoid the roadways, we advise you do that right now. A lot of water is going to be picking up throughout the afternoon, especially with, as you just heard from our meteorologist, a lot of bad weather heading this way.
And fortunately, it is only, like Jake said, like the small ponding on the side of the road, minor flooding at this point. But in any situation like this, you certainly want to make sure that you're extra careful if you're out driving, and really try not to drive at all.
Right, and we're also seeing a lot of businesses are closing down early, so you hope you can get those employees and customers and anyone else back home off the road so they don't have to deal with the situation there. Where you are, Jake, it's okay for now, but just south of you, we've had a tornado warning ongoing, so dangerous at different locations throughout the afternoon, no doubt.
Oh, sorry.
And once again, that is Jake
Chapman. That one more time. I couldn't hear you right there.
Oh, you're good. Dave, we're going to go over to Dave Nussbaum. Jake, thank you for that live look there. Dave, what do you have?
Again, right now, though, take a look here. We do see that the Storm Prediction Center, in their latest update, has now spread the high-risk area into Birmingham, Alabaster, Asheville, Gadsden area as well. The moderate risk from Clanton, Talladega, and Anniston, and Hansricks, Alexander City. Again, it doesn't necessarily matter that if you're in the risk or not. You still have the threat for some damaging winds, obviously strong long-track tornadoes, and some large hail out there for the day today. So looking at the latest radar right now, I want to show you that storm we're watching here with that tornado warning coming into the Vance area as we speak. This is the storm here. We've been tracking with that debris indicator showing that there was a tornado here coming out of Hale County into southern Tuscaloosa County, and that is where we have right now. Still watching very closely here. Of course, we have Jefferson as well as on into Shelby counties next down the way. No warning for those areas yet still, but still going to be watching this to show you just to see what the storm is going to eventually do here. And it still has that rotation kind of showing up and not as intense as it once was, so that is some good news. But we still have to watch that. You got the red going outbound, green going inbound. You get your counterclockwise circulation. That is your tornado we're looking at. And looking at our debris tracker here, still showing maybe a little bit still tied in with that, but as Griffin had pointed out here, what we're watching is some of these individual storms kind of coming right up into it. So let me zoom out a little bit, kind of show you. There's our main storm here. And I'm going to go ahead and put this a loop on there. And you see these other storms kind of coming into it. That starts to cut off the warm, humid air coming up from the south. Now, as Michael just showed you, it's 74 degrees in Tuscaloosa and roughly about almost 10 degrees colder here in Birmingham. So that is where a warm front is. It's likely this thunderstorm is riding right along that warm front as it moves to the north. And that is where you have your lift going on in, your best ingredients just to the south of the warm front, and that's what's fueling the supercell thunderstorm. Remember, supercell means rotating thunderstorm. And this is what we're going to continue watching here, moving out of Tuscaloosa County, possibly into Jefferson and Shelby counties now as well, with the storm as it continues moving off there to the northeast about 45 miles per hour. Go ahead and stop that loop for you here. And you can see the storm itself still has a lot of lightning tied in with it. So when you watch to see that and starting to see more and more lightning showing up, positive strikes, sometimes that's a sign that the storm is getting better organized here. But as we come on in a little closer to it, we'll show you that again. Where is Vance located? There's Highway 11, Lakeview. If you're watching us there, West Blocton, need to be in your safe place right now. The storm is coming up here from the southwest here to the northeast, moving right over these locations here. And as it moves on in, it does have the chance there possibly producing a tornado with it. Again, it has a history of it, may even still have one with it right now. It's weakened just a little bit, but it's an individual thunderstorm. And when you see these individual thunderstorms on a radar map, when you have a day that and the ingredients are coming together to chance to produce some strong long-track tornadoes, it's these individual ones you really, really need to watch. They're the ones that are going to produce those. When you see a whole cluster of thunderstorms, like they're not going to be necessarily those stronger tornadoes, but still producing tornadoes. And of course, any tornadoes we found last week, whether it's an EF-1, 2, EF-0, 1 or 2, could easily produce some damage at this time. So this one's coming on in toward the Vance area right now. Getting a tighter look on into Vance just to show you what we have with this here. Again, looks like the storm is going to continue getting a little bit, trying to get better organized. Still has that classic hook echo we look for here all the time. So again, North Scottsville Road, County Road 9, Vance Road, all again, watch out here. This is where we're watching here. There's Vance, heavy rain, maybe some hail continuing to fall across your area there. So again, you need to be in your safe place right now here. West Blocton need to be in your safe place as well. Here's Highway 5 at this point, Highway 11 coming on through. This is south of the interstate. So here's Coling. Coling, you're in the clear of this right now. That's some good news for you. But over toward Vance right now, this is the storm. This is where we're watching right in through here. And again, a debris tracker is showing that not showing as much with it right now, which is good news. It's not what's here in West Blocton. That's not our debris. That was right in this location here. So at the moment, we're not seeing anything being lofted into the air. That means the storm may have weakened. Storm may be trying to go through what's called a cycle phase. A lot of times here, these individual thunderstorms can only be strong for so long to they kind of take a little break, and then they kind of ramp back up again. And that's what we need to watch because, one, it could do this. Two, because the direction and place where this storm is potentially going. Kind of zooming out a little bit here. They're still into Tuscaloosa County right now, but as mentioned before, you can see Birmingham kind of here at the top of your screen. There's Hoover, there's Chelsea, Pelham, Alabaster area, and Lakeview area. So this is moving toward West Blocton and again could be impacting those areas of Jefferson and Shelby counties. You need to keep an eye on it. Right now there's no warning for you. Still going to be watching. This one has still a long way to go in Tuscaloosa County at this time. But nonetheless though, we're watching this storm here. Now we've seen some other showers and storms have been severe across part of Etowah and Calhoun counties here further off to the north and heading toward Gadsden. Looks like this one has just passed through you, potentially producing some pretty strong winds as it passed on by. So just keep that in mind, even though you don't have a tornado threat because you're cooler up here and don't have quite the dynamics together to give you the tornado in the Gadsden area, you still can see some straight line winds coming on in, heavy rain, and maybe some hail mixed in with that system as well too. So with that in mind, still watching that one. Things are a little better for you in Anderson area, back to Aniana, Talladega looking pretty good, Sylacauga, things are fine for you right now. Back over toward Coleman, more of that heavy rain, still have some of those flash flood warnings in effect for you. The flash flood watch goes into effect till 1 o'clock tonight into tomorrow morning as more heavy rain continues to come in, possibly producing some flooding issues across those areas. So definitely be prepared for that as we go forward here. But again, here is that storm we're watching, kind of part in here in the southeastern part of Tuscaloosa County. Has a history of producing a tornado at this point as well, and we'll continue to watch this one. Let me zoom out and show you what's coming from Mississippi. This is the storms we're going to continue watching here out of the Jackson, Mississippi area. Kind of switching over to Columbus radar just to give you a little closer perspective here of these thunderstorms. Now these, as they move on in, they're going to be moving into an environment here, again, warm and humid air, and have also the potential to produce some tornadoes. Now if they're clustered together like this, makes it a little bit more difficult for them to go ahead and do that, but still watching this one here. These lines coming out of Jackson back toward Meridian, Mississippi, up into the Starkville area and heading toward Columbus. We'll continue watching those, and then once they cross into Alabama, get a better idea of what this may or may not do for our area. But we still just have that one tornado warning in effect here. That is this storm here, again, in parts of southeastern Tuscaloosa County. Not looking quite as impressive here. Let me go back to the Birmingham radar. That's probably one reason why it doesn't look that way. There you go. It still has that kind of hook echo. West Blocton area, be in your safe place right now. Can't stress that enough with this. And that tornado warning still goes into effect here for that Tuscaloosa County area here. That does go until 1:15. Current time right now is 12:52. Griffin, what you got?
Yeah, Dave, I would just want to throw out that, like you discussed earlier, these storms like this can cycle. They can go up and down. I think maybe about 10 minutes ago I was encountering some showers, but I think now it may be starting to wrap up again. I mean, you don't really even have to look at the velocity here. You can sort of see the inflow curling around, and same with that rear flank downdraft. And this is only about 3 or 4 miles west of downtown West Blocton now. I also want to point out, even if you are to the north end of this storm, there's some hail in there, potentially up to golf ball size. One little return there just east of Vance, on that far northern tip of Bibb County. There's a lot of hail in this storm too, north of where that area of rotation is. So even if you're not going to be impacted by the tornado, you're probably getting just some absolutely torrential rainfall in this storm. Almost non-stop cloud-to-ground lightning strikes. Just within this storm alone, 100 lightning strikes in the past 15 minutes. So again, in that latest velocity scan here, yeah, it's definitely wrapping up a little bit. This is going to be just west of downtown West Blocton near Shawtown. That right there. That is tracking up to the northeast like that near Vance Road. It'll be passing over Mount Carmel Drive here in a couple minutes. Griffintown Road. We've got Old Woodstock Road, Hebron, McCully. All of you need to be in your safe spot because once again, this storm may be starting to kind of wrap up again. It'll be crossing over Highway 5 in a couple of minutes here, just to the north of downtown West Blocton. We don't have a camera in West Blocton, so we're not going to be able to show you this with a camera, but all the evidence we need is right here on the radar. There's a supercell storm tracking through northern Bibb County. It is 12:55 p.m. and this warning is in effect until 1:15 p.m. But it looks like we just have a new warning. Yep, that popped up. So, okay, this is going to include southeastern Jefferson County. The southern suburbs of Birmingham are now included in this warning. So that's going to include Vestavia Hills. That's going to include Hoover. It's also going to include all of the Birmingham suburbs in Shelby County as well. So Pelham, Alabaster, Chelsea, all of these areas now included in the tornado warning. So this one's going to be in effect until 2 p.m. You got a lot of lead time with this, so it's going to be a while until the actual dangerous part of the storm way down here makes it up here. So again, tornado warning in effect until 2 p.m. for southeastern Jefferson County. It's going to include Hoover. It's going to include Vestavia. It's going to include Mountain Brook, all of these popular suburbs in the southeastern part of Birmingham. Got a long way to get to, but again, tornado warning in effect for Jefferson and Shelby counties now. Conan, I'll toss it over to you.
All right, thank you. We want to go to Malik Rankin, CBS 42 news reporter. She is in Dora, where the police department there, Malik, has talked about flooding in the area. What are you seeing from where you are?
Yep, we're seeing some flooding right now, Ani. And here, Ron, let's point over here, show some of this that is just running down the roadway here. We just had a resident stop by that was driving through this road, letting us know that if the rain continues and picks up again in this area, this entire street will flood. So we certainly won't be sticking around for when that happens. But this area, we're just off of Sharon Boulevard. I'm going to step over here. We got a car coming through, Ron, so we'll let them pass by safely here. But this area just off of Sharon Road in Dora, Alabama, and this is in Walker County. I was talking to the Walker County Sheriff's Office, their PIO, TJ Walker, today, and he let us know that storm shelters are open in this area. For residents right now, they should go to the EMA's Facebook page to get familiar with those shelters located near them, as well as go to the Sheriff's Department's Facebook page for updates as to when those will open and how to stay on top of the latest alerts. And of course, our CBS 42 News app has everything you need to know. I'll send it back to you in the studio.
Okay, Malik Rankin with the latest on flooding accumulating in Dora. Let's go back to Dave Nussbaum now for the latest look at the radar, Dave.
Yeah, right now, you can see here, looking at the latest radar, this is that supercell thunderstorm right over top of the West Blocton area. Again, you need to be, if you're in that area, watching in your safest location of your home. Again, the basement preferred out there. That's the tornado warning there again for Tuscaloosa County. That goes until about, say, 12:30 at this time. So that continues there, or 1:15, I should say. And then now we have the new tornado warning here for parts of Jefferson and Shelby counties that goes into effect till 2 o'clock this afternoon. So a long lead time with this. Looks like the storm is starting to get ramped up again and try to get better organized. The velocity, yep, it is intensifying right now right over top of West Blocton. So this storm is likely about to produce another tornado if it hasn't done so already. And there it is. We do have that new, looks like debris showing up here just kind of north of the West Blocton area. That is the location where we're seeing here. So Shawtown area, West Blocton, tornado is just moving through your area as we speak, kind of crossing right over there is that Highway 5. Heading farther, just kind of moving just north of Flat Top, Italian Town area here. This is what we're talking about. So the storm has re-ramped up and it's now trying to produce, it is producing, at least Doppler radar indicating, another tornado at this time. So going ahead and giving you the latest track here with this one. Let me zoom out a little bit more and just kind of give you an idea here of where this is going. Tracking here, Hebron 3 minutes, Gray Hill 7 minutes, Anita 11 minutes, Gurney there around 12 minutes, over toward Turner 15 minutes, Ryan 20 minutes here, heading over toward Roebuck area around 22, Helena again 25 minutes, Alabaster again if it holds together that far, same for Pelham 25 to 27 minutes with this storm as it continues heading off there to the northeast at about 45 miles per hour. So if you're watching us in the Hoover area, Pelham, Alabaster, you need to keep a close eye on this. It's a ways away from you, but nonetheless though we're still watching that. It looks like, again, we're seeing the storm here try to get ramped back up again, and this would be that tornado we're talking about right in that location here. Not to the south there, but this little dot there looks to be that's where we have our debris ball showing up there just north of the West Blocton area. That's where our strongest velocity is. That, again, that's that spin we look for the rotating thunderstorm. So this storm has gotten stronger. It looks like the new scan even stronger showing up here as well, too. Again, so this is likely going to be a large tornado here. Debris tracker showing up. There it is again. This is what we're talking about, folks, right in through there. I'll go ahead and kind of indicate you here right now. This is where we're talking about, right in through there. That is what we're dealing with again. That is the debris tracker showcasing we do have that tornado. It is still in Tuscaloosa County here, but it is working its way toward Jefferson and parts of Shelby County. So if you're watching us advance, you're in the clear of this. West Blocton, it is just immediately to your north right now. It is heading just off to the northeast here, about 45, 50 miles per hour. Lakeview area kind of just between you and West Blocton. So there you can see Highway 11, Interstate 59 and 20. Again, this is a tornado and it is moving closer and closer toward the Birmingham area. It's still in Tuscaloosa County right now. So we're still going to watch this one here, but I want to give you all a good significant lead time of what this is doing. So if you have a safe place for those down the way here, definitely get ready to be in that. It's coming closer and closer to you. Here again, this is our tornado. This is where we're talking about right now here. Have me step out of the way, kind of give you some roads. Griffintown Road, Mount Carmel Drive area, Old Woodstock Road there. That is where we're talking about. Hebron, it is heading right to your direction. So we're still watching that one here that's coming right in toward your direction there. This is our tornado. This is our debris tracker showing we have a storm and tornado lofting that debris into the air. And but You have to be in your safe place right now as that storm continues to move its way here off to the northeast. Again, still giving you guys a little bit of some time here. Again, Hebron, you've got 3 minutes. Get in your safe place now. Gray Hill about 7 minutes. Anita there about 10 minutes. Glen Carbon 13 minutes. Over toward Ryan around 20 minutes. Heading towards Colmont 20 minutes for you as well too. Roebuck about 22 minutes. And if it gets to Helena, Alabaster, and Pelham, we're talking about 25, 27 minutes for you. That is the storm we're watching here. Again, with that, this is it. That's our tornado heading right toward Hebron. There's Hebron. There's Gray Hill. It's going to go right over top of that area there. So if you're watching us in those locations, need to be in a safe place. That's County Road 21 coming right through there. Looks like a Smith Hill Road. It's coming over top of there. Griffinstown Road, right in that location is where that tornado is located. It's still in Tuscaloosa County, but this is the county line here, heading up toward eventually toward Shelby County and eventually on in toward Jefferson County. So we have this storm is now produced, looks like a second tornado. May have produced one, took a little break. Now it's kind of ramped back up and producing another one here. And you can see here on our reflectivity, this is where we talk about that's where your debris ball is here, and looking at the velocity showcasing that pretty strong, very intense rotation showing up here with this storm. Again, this is what we're talking about, that red goes away from the radar, green goes toward. You have a counterclockwise circulation, and that is what we have here with the storm here. This is the only storm, fortunately, going on right now with something we have to worry about. Has a classic hook echo shape to it. There's your debris ball with it. And again, the best way to point out where the tornado is looking at a debris tracker. That is it right there. So again, looking at that line here, still a persistent, fairly large tornado. I'm going to go ahead and say this is Griffin, a fairly large one. We have working its way through parts of Tuscaloosa County. West Blocton, you're in the clear of this right now. Lakeview, you're in the clear of this. So it's kind of in rural parts of Tuscaloosa County, but it's going to be heading on in towards Shelby and eventually potentially maybe even to Jefferson County as well too. So we have storms over top ahead of us here right now here at the station. So this is the one supercell we're watching here, but you can see part of it actually heading up our way, and you can see from the lightning tracker we have some of the lightning strikes there all the way back down to the system. Griffin, what you got?
Yeah, Dave, this is the National Weather Service is tagging the tornado damage threat as considerable, and they only really do that with the strongest supercells that we normally get. Obviously, we had this storm produce a tornado back in southern Tuscaloosa County. It lifted, and now it's back down again. It's part of this same storm system. So there is a tornado down in Hebron right now. It just passed over Griffintown Road. It's passing right through the center of Hebron. It's passing near Gray Hill as well. This is the far northeastern tip of Bibb County. Over here is Shelby County. Shelby County is included in this tornado warning, but it's got a long way to go before it actually gets to more populated places in Shelby County, like Helena and Pelham and Alabaster. But there's a tornado there. Without a doubt, there is a tornado there, and the damage threat is considerable. That is a very large debris bowl right there in the center of your screen, and that scan is held for the past 5 to 10 minutes. It's been down on the ground. So if you're on Bishop Ridge Road, you need to be in shelter right now. If you're in River Road in far western Shelby County, if you're near Turner, if you're near Gurney, Glen Carbon, Anita, any of these places, you need to be in your safe place right now. It looks like our graphic system's pulling up, even also indicating on that area of rotation too. So this is definitely a large tornado. There's the Barron product showing you that severe wind embedded within that tornado. We could see winds as strong as 120, 130 miles per hour in this storm as it crosses over Bishop Ridge Road. Glen Tree Drive, any of these places I'm listing, you need to be in your safe spot immediately. It's soon going to be crossing the county line, so it's coming up on that Bibb and Shelby County line. This kind of helps to highlight where that area of rotation is. The most dangerous part of the storm is right here. And if I switch over to reflectivity, you'll see that on the northern end of that storm, in Bessemer and Hueytown, all McCalla, 459, it's torrential rainfall right now, ton of lightning strikes. But the most dangerous part of the storm is probably going to be passing south of that area. It's right in here where that potential tornado is. There's the inflow notch, there's the rear flank downdraft, and the tornado right about there, soon to be crossing over into western Shelby County. So again, this is going to be kind of far away from those Birmingham suburbs in Shelby County, Pelham Pelham and Alabaster, it's still about 25 minutes away from potentially impacting you, but it's close enough that I would go ahead, if you haven't done so already, get to that interior room away from doors and windows, because this is a tornado. It is down and it is causing damage, and this storm has had a history of producing damage back into Hale County and Tuscaloosa County. Dave, if you're ready, I'll toss it to you.
All right, Griffin, yeah, the same thing we're continuing to watch here, just looking at that debris indicator, because this is the best way to kind of show you at home what we're talking about. This is all messy stuff. What we're watching is this right there. That is where a tornado is here, a dangerously large tornado indicated by the National Weather Service, about to cross over out of Tuscaloosa County now, and heading on into parts there of Shelby County, eventually possibly on into Jefferson County as well, too. So still be watching this one here. There's that county line just to the north. So as we continue to watch this one, again, need to be prepared for you in those areas of where the storm is going. This you probably hear the thunder, a lot of lightning. If you're watching us here and you hear the thunder and lightning, you're looking outside, there's no rain falling. It's because we have a lot of it still popping up out ahead of this storm. And sometimes when you start to see that lightning start to increase in coverage, especially a lot of those strikes that come from the top of the cloud down, those are called positive strokes, which are more intense lightning strokes. Those actually are a sign the storm's trying to tornado. And of course, we do have one right now with this here. But you can see Alabaster, Pelham area, and as we go on in toward, say, just where our storm is located here, potentially here, about to cross on in towards Shelby County right now. And again, here's Jefferson County just to the north. Here's Interstate 459 at this point. Still going to be watching to see how this reacts once it crosses over into there. So if you're watching us, Alabaster, Pelham, Hoover area, need to be aware of this and watch this very closely. It is a long way away from you, but definitely need to watch it. You can see we do have that classic debris ball showing up right now here with this, kind of zooming on in a little tighter to you here with that storm as it continues to move through right along the county line. Really strong rotation still showing up with this. When we talk about the word tight rotation, that means the storm is really, really rotating really well, and it's likely it's moving right along that warm front I was talking about, that's kind of nudging its way northward here toward Birmingham. But that is our tornado. That is the direction we're talking about here, continuing to work its way through the region. And as it moves on in closer and closer to the area, again, this is not the tornado. It's that little spot we're talking about right in through there. And it is moving fairly quickly at right about, say, 45 miles per hour. So kind of giving you a potential track here. Again, this is could go toward either direction with this here. But nonetheless, though, we're talking Glen Carbon area 6 minutes, Turner 7 minutes, Brantleyville 12 minutes, Colmont 11 minutes for you, Roebuck about 13, Calliston there about 15 minutes, Helena 16, St. View, Alabaster, Pelham about 18, Hoover potentially 24 minutes, and that's by the city center there. So again, Hoover areas, you know, is kind of long and stretched out. So if you're watching in those areas, you need to get down to your safe place now, as the storm continues to get still fairly organized and continues to get a little bit stronger. So where are we looking? Right in through there. That is our tornado right now. Looking at your Doppler radar, you can see there's that debris ball. Some of you have indicated, oh, I know what that means. That is where we're talking about. So here's your thunderstorm, the very tail end of it wrapping up there. As we talked about yesterday and even this morning, these storms are going to be moving here from the southwest to the northeast. That's the way the environment has always been climatologically here, and we're continuing to see that. This one is going to be moving into a very much more populated area than most of the tornadoes we saw last week. Remember, we had 25 last Wednesday and St. Patrick's Day. So this is the first one we've seen so far, potentially here 2 different times in parts of Hale, Tuscaloosa counties, and then now coming on in towards Shelby and parts of Jefferson County. I need to watch this. Let me go ahead and turn the lightning off, and just so we can see this a little bit better for you here, kind of give you an idea of this one. So this one is a cause of concern. We have, again, confirmation here of a tornado moving right through the Gray Hill area as we speak. We're right over top of Hebron at this point as well, too, and it'll continue moving its way here as it goes closer and closer on into the area. So kind of zooming on in, Green Tree Drive area, County Road 12. We're watching those areas very closely here as the storm continues its way towards, say, Glen Carbon, Lindsay Crossing, Superior area there. You're all going to be very, very close to the path of this storm here as it continues to move on in. There's River Road coming on in as well. It's going to be passing right over top of River Road right now. So if you live along River Road there, not too far from the Gray Hill area and County Road 12, that's where you're talking about this coming on in. Here's County Road 270 as well, Glen Carbon, County Road 260. If you're in those areas here, and County Road 13, that's what we're talking about. So here's what we're talking about. That is the storm right over top of River Road. If you're watching us here, looks like it's moving its way on in towards Shelby County right now as it's made over the crossover there. Even our radar is indicating that circulation here are fairly strong with it as well too. But this is the circulation center. Looking at the debris tracker here for you, that's what we're talking about. At the moment, it looks like it's maybe weakening just a little bit. Just saw a lightning strike there on the video in Jefferson County. A lot of cloud to ground lightning strikes coming on in, so now not the time to be outside. But again, this is where we're watching. Now that debris indicator has come down just a little bit, which would be some good news. But nonetheless, though, this is where we're talking. So all that would show is that maybe not as much debris is being lofted into the air, which would then indicate that the tornado may have weakened. As we showed you earlier, briefly, it may kind of recycle once again too, so don't put your guard down, and that's why we're continuing to watch this here. Still seeing some strong rotation within that storm. There's no doubt about that. We have that, even if it's not producing a tornado, maybe taking, hate to say it, a little breather before it tries to go back and do a tornado again. A reflectivity again still showing where that debris ball would be located here in the storm, but looks like it's got a little flanking line behind it, which is typical. This is normal for this to happen here. Sometimes what may happen is if this can get a little stronger, it would rob the energy of the big main storm here, which would be good, which would continue to weaken it, but the southern storm may take over and start to intensify. So I'll be watching to see if that starts happening here with this storm. But as this storm does have a ton of lightning tied in with it too, so while the storm itself may be kind of south of Bessemer, south of 459, at least at this point, it is producing some very heavy rain. Intense lightning strikes are coming on in, although lately I'm not seeing as much. That could be a sign that it's weakening a little bit, but I'll be watching to see if all of a sudden a lot more lightning starts to show up. That could be a sign the storm's trying to get a little bit stronger out there as well. Again, our debris tracker is still showing some of that debris, although lighter in color. You see here more toward the yellows. When you start seeing those blues and beyond, and that is when we indicate some really heavy debris. Heavy rain continues to fall here over top of Red Mountain right now, and you can see with that storm here across the Birmingham area, we're getting some of the edge of this storm coming on in. So this is not the tornado part of the storm. This is just the anvil or the outer flow, outer part of it here continuing to come on in. Same for you in Hueytown to Bessemer area. The storm's kind of staying away from you right now. So if you're in Bessemer, that tornado part of it is not going to head your way, but could be working its way here toward parts of northern Shelby County here, southern part of Jefferson County. Here's the 459 corridor. In parts of the Hoover area, need to be watching this one here. We have that tornado warning for Shelby and Jefferson counties until 2 o'clock. Right now it is 1:12, so we still have some time on this one here until that warning does expire at this point. So we'll be watching to see that very, very closely here. Storms exiting out here of, say, Tuscaloosa County, but now coming on into parts of Shelby County, heading on in toward Jefferson County there, and so be continuing to watch this one as it kind of goes through the part of the Cahaba River area and potentially here going on into the right now kind of rural parts of Shelby County. But that is where we're talking about with that rotation. And going zooming on in there, this one here continues to try to get we'll see, maybe it does get a little better organized here, Michael, but it definitely is still showing some strong rotation with it as well, too. Maybe a little bit weaker than what we saw earlier, which I would love to see that continue to weaken even more as it gets closer into more of the populated metro area.
Yeah, Dave, and we saw that going back into to Tuscaloosa County just a little bit while ago. You mentioned the cycling process, and that could very well be going on. The reason I say that is because the dynamics will become more and more favorable over the next several hours into this afternoon. Now, this is not a situation where we'll be finished after the storm moves through. We'll have multiple waves of severe thunderstorms. So still, along the I-59 corridor, coming in now to Jefferson and Shelby counties, Pelham, Alabaster, down Interstate 65. You have to be in your safe place, the smallest room, lowest floor, away from all windows. Excuse me. Even the city of Birmingham, we have plenty of lightning. Even if you don't have a tornado warning in your particular location, you still need to be inside because this lightning, it's not messing around. So I-65 up toward Hoover, and it looks at times like this is trying to make a right turn. I believe that's probably a little bit deceptive because Interstate 2059 kind of banks to the northeast as you come out of Vance and Brookwood. But Birmingham, again, downtown Birmingham, it appears as of right now this particular storm, in terms of the likely tornado, will pass just south of downtown Birmingham. And we're not forgetting about you farther up to the north. I know you see this red. There's Gadsden, Rainbow City, Reese City, West End, Steele, and Etowah County. That red is a flash flood warning. That is not a tornado warning. So Gadsden, Etowah County, including Glencoe, back down toward the Calhoun County line, toward Jacksonville. You are not under a tornado warning, but you are under a severe thunderstorm warning from Ohatchee back over to Jacksonville and Weaver. There's a 431 that takes you back down to Anniston, Oxford. There's I-20 right here, heading back into Cleburne County and eventually into Georgia. But this is the track. This is the short-term model to show you this storm over the next hour will come through Birmingham, riding very close to Interstate 59, eventually crossing over 459. So we do not want any travel at this point along Interstate 459. Of course, that's just south of Birmingham. This lightning will continue and eventually up toward near Leeds and Trussville within the next hour. And this, remember, this is one of those days favorable for the large, long track tornadoes. And if that's the case right now with this particular storm, you will have to deal with this. And we will stay right here with you. The problem is, it's potentially cycling. It's also coming into a more favorable environment. The atmosphere will become more favorable over the next several hours. So this is really just the beginning of all this, not the end. We are under a high risk for severe weather all across central Alabama. So again, I-20, that's that same storm. Look at this. Okay, this is the model forecast for that same storm. See how it's trying to indicate the possibility of this wrapping back up. That is at 216. Very close to Leeds, all right? Very close to Leeds. That is showing a hook echo with this, and that would indicate the possibility of a tornado. We're not forecasting a tornado crossing over Interstate 20 at exactly 216. I'm just telling you it's a possibility. It's that likelihood is there given the environmental conditions. That's why we want you to be in a safe place right now. Temperatures are continuing to come back up. Birmingham 71, Alabaster 72, Clanton now in the middle 70s at 75 degrees. So again, smallest room, lowest floor, away from all windows as soon as a tornado warning is issued for your location. And unfortunately, we feel like there will be many more tornado warnings issued this afternoon.
Yeah, that's right, Michael. And of course, we're keeping a close eye on this storm that's just crossed over into Shelby County. It's been the same supercell that produced a tornado back in Hale and Tuscaloosa Counties, the southern end of it. Now it's into Shelby County. And here's the good news. The rotation, not quite as strong now. If there is a tornado there, it's going to be right on top of County Road 13. This is going to be pretty close to Helena, though. So if you're in Helena, while the storm may be cycling, it's still too close to call. You need to stay sheltered for just a little bit longer. This is going to be passing to the south of McClendon Chapel Road. It's going to be south of Porter Road. There's obviously a lot of torrential rainfall right now happening in the Birmingham metro, but the only really dangerous part of the storm that could be producing a tornado is likely going to be passing south of downtown Birmingham. Here's Birmingham here. That's where the tornado is, and the closest community in the vicinity of that potential tornado on the southern end of the storm is Helena. Pelham, same for you. It's going to be kind of a close call, so stay put, interior room away from doors and windows. On the forward flank downdraft, we've got McCalla, we've got Bessemer, we've got Ross Bridge here, torrential rainfall on Ross Bridge. But once again, the most dangerous part of the storm is going to be to the south of that. We've got a lot of lightning strikes and hail up in here happening now, just to the west of Hoover, along Highway 150. It's coming down very hard right now, but thankfully, the most dangerous part of the storm, once again, going to be to the south of there. We're keeping a close eye on this cell because obviously cells like this, they kind of hopscotch. They can produce a tornado in one spot, lift back up, and then produce another one later on. And that's what we're seeing now, is this cell is kind of cycling up and down. Here's another thing to note. This is the southernmost storm, and there's not much happening south of that. So it's getting a lot of unimpeded southerly flow up into the storm. So there's really nothing holding this storm back from potentially holding together and continuing up to the northeast. So once again, if you're in Helena, especially, you need to be in your safe spot because it's going to be definitely too close to call. This could be coming up right towards Helena. Pelham, same for you guys. Stay sheltered. Anybody along Highway 31, anybody kind of near Oak Mountain State Park, especially west of that, and even north of that, Indian Spring Village. If it holds together, this would be potentially tracking up to the northeast towards Indian Springs Village in about 10 to 15 minutes. So let's draw the storm track out for you, moving northeast at around 40 miles per hour. This will give us some of the arrival times here. So Helena, about 7 minutes away from you. Pelham, about 9 minutes or 8 minutes now. Chelsea, still got a lot of time, 25 minutes away from you, roughly speaking. Lake Purdy in about 25 minutes as well. This will be if the tornado holds together, but down to the southwest towards Helena especially. You guys are the closest town that's in the path of this potential tornado. tornadoes. So if you're in Helena or Pelham especially, be in your safe place right now because it's definitely too close to call. Here's the severe wind product. We'd almost never get one of those, all these yellower colors to show up. That almost never happens unless there's really high confidence that we have something there. And this storm obviously has a history of producing tornadoes. Let's switch over to the debris indicator. There's a little bit of something there right about here, just south of Chestnut Glen, south of Bamford there and west of Roebuck. If there is something there, that's where it would be. I will say it's not as impressive as what we saw back in Hale and Tuscaloosa County where we had that big, deep, loud signature that showed up. But if there is something there, it would be right near Chestnut Glen. So if you're in Chestnut Glen especially, head to your safe spot right now, that interior room away from doors and windows. If you are watching us in McCalla, I think we can give an all clear to especially McCalla, you know, right here where the Full Moon Barbecue is on that exit 1 right here on 459. That's going to be passing down to the south of you, so you don't have to worry about that. But if you're in Helena, if you're south of 459 in Bessemer especially, going to be kind of too close to call for you, so just stay put a little bit longer. It's coming down really hard, the heavy rain that is in Hoover and in Vestavia right now, but thankfully I think that this will pass down to the south of Hoover, at least the most dangerous part of the storm. So again, just getting another warning from the Weather Service. We've got another TDS that's showing up, they're saying. Okay, so let's pull that up real quick. Yep, there's a little bit of a TDS there for sure. So just another indicator that especially if you're in Helena right now, you need to be in your safe spot right now. That's where it is, the TDS right there, center of your screen. Roebuck, Helena, safe place right now. Dave, over to you.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Again, this is now in Shelby County, so we're talking about here kind of south of Birmingham, as I mentioned. This is it right here, kind of just off to the south, east there of Chestnut Glen, heading right to Roebuck, Helena area, Cahaba Valley, States area. Need to be in your safe place, lowest level of your home immediately. This storm's kind of going through this cycle, as they traditionally do. We've seen this many, many times in history here across Alabama, and that is now what we're talking about. That is where our tornado is located. It's getting ramped up fairly quickly. It took, I hate to say it, a little breather, and now it's getting back into playing here with another tornado. Dunway Farms area can move right off to the north of you, but right through Helena. If you're watching us there, take shelter immediately right now. This could work its way toward Pelham area, Blueberry Estates area, Hardy area, Cahaba Valley Estates. This is Highway 31, Interstate 65 here, moving on in. So we're going to watch this one here as it continues to get a little bit stronger there. Go ahead and get this track on here and see if it can exactly it's going to try to move on in. I'm going to show you the reflectivity here. Again, this is where we're talking. There's the velocity showing a little bit stronger here, but again, the debris tracker showing we still have some debris. Maybe if weakened just a smidge at the moment, but giving you an idea of what we're talking about. Roebuck 2 minutes, Colmont area you've got 2 minutes, Helena 4 minutes, Calston area right there about 4 minutes for you as well. Pelham 6 minutes, Hoover again we're talking about the Shelby County version of Hoover, at least at this point, are close to the county line. Right about 14 minutes for you. Stay in your safe place right now. Over towards Simsville about 15 minutes here. Inverness about 18 minutes. Chelsea, if it holds together that far, 23-minute lead time for you. So definitely watching that one as it starts to get a little bit better organized here at this time as well. We've got that tornado warning going until 2 o'clock this afternoon for Shelby and Jefferson counties here. But this is where we're talking. That is our tornado. The storm is kind of going through these cycles where it took a while to get started, produced a tornado like lifted, dropped another tornado there in parts of Tuscaloosa County, lifted. Now we're seeing it again here as well too. Now if there's not a tornado, as Griffin was pointing out, we do have some pretty strong winds coming on in here. These are 60, 80 mile per hour winds tied in with that. So not only if that is where the tornado is, but also some strong winds kind of tied in too. As you can see, that is our rotation. We have what's called a pretty tight circulation and rotation with this, and that is what we're talking about here as it continues to move on in with this storm. So if you're watching us here in Pelham, it's going to be coming dangerously close to you, north of the Alabaster area at this point, but right over top of Helena, County Road 52. We're talking about Roebuck. It's coming right into your neighborhood right now. Foxhaven, Calston area, Helena. There it is. Again, the storm has just jumped a little bit here, so Helena, it's probably right over top of you. Now, you need to be in your safe place. Basement, interior room, closet. Can't stress that enough. Cahaba Valley Estates is headed your way. Here's Pelham right now, kind of giving an idea of what we're talking about. That is where our tornado would be located here, kind of near the Foxhaven area, County Road 52, Helena Road, right into Helena, the heart of Helena. You can see here looking at our debris tracker. This is where that tornado would be when that Scan went right over top of it, so likely coming right over top of Helena. So we do have, again, the tornado right in that location as we speak. So please, this is moving now into a much more populated area than where it once stood there, going through parts of Greene, Hale, and Tuscaloosa counties. Now we're into Shelby County right now here, just south of the Jefferson-Shelby County line, the Cahaba River, of course, too. But this is where we're watching here. This is what we call a tornado detection signature, or TDS is the technical term for it. But when you see this, know that that means debris is being lofted in the air by a tornado. The Doppler radar goes around, it hits it, indicating some of the debris. When it's those darker blue shades we had just a bit ago, that's kind of more of the thicker debris coming on in. But that is what we're talking about here. So Toccoa, Helena area, again, I can't stress enough, State Road was that 261 right there, Helena Road. This is coming right over through. It's probably over top of you. Remember, as I said before, when the radar comes in, it's like taking a picture of a fast-moving vehicle. As it comes by, you take a picture of it, you look at the picture, and then you go look and see where the truck is. It's already down the road. Same thing what happens with the radar. So when you see this update, it'll be over top of Helena, if not just past there at this time. So there you see the reflectivity. This is where we're talking about. There you see it, jumping right over top of Helena. The tornado would be right over top of you right now. So again, if you're listening to our voice here, please know you need to be in your safe place. This has the history of producing tornadoes, potentially large tornadoes as well too. As you can see here, this is what we're talking about, exactly where that storm is located. Kind of zooming in even more here to the Helena area, 3rd Street, Old Town here, Elm Street, all of you again in the potential path of this as well too. Mullins Drive area, Ruffin Road, what I have here, Roseberry Road here, Folliston Road, let's say Plantation Place. All of you, again, this is where our tornado is located, and it will continue working its way here on eventually toward Industrial Park Drive. Cahaba Valley Estates, the storm is headed right to your direction. Here is Highway 31. This is going to be crossing over all those businesses here right around Highway 31 at this point as well. So do be prepared. Little Oak Ridge Estates is coming toward your direction. Chandelier South area coming right over top of you. Paramount area, the storm is coming on into your area as well too. So that is where we're talking about the storm. It is right over top of Helena, heading in that direction there, and eventually crossing over Highway 31 and eventually Interstate 65 as well. Of course, the two of them run parallel, but that would be our tornado here right over top of Helena as we speak. And this is going to continue its way closer and closer, very close here toward the Pelham area. Kind of zooming out a little bit here to show you exactly what we're talking about. There's Helena, there's Pelham, kind of coming just close to you. Indian Springs Village, going to be very close to you down the pike here as well too. Again, the storm has a tendency to get strong, produce a tornado, weaken a little bit, get strong, produce a tornado, weaken a little bit. This is the 3rd time it's done that. So again, if you're watching us down those areas, need to take shelter immediately. Kind of giving you a rough estimate here of where we're talking here and tracking this out, but it's moving at about 45 miles per hour. So if it continues on that track here, taking it to Simsville around 13 minutes, Chelsea around 23 minutes at this time as well. So we'll be watching that, but still, that is where our tornado is located, just north of Pelham here. Here's the Jefferson County, Shelby County line, Indian Springs Village. It's going to be coming dangerously close to your area, pretty close to crossing the interstate as we speak as well here at Highway 31. I'll go ahead and I can get that pull up here, zoom in a little bit. We'll show you what I'm talking about here in the Pelham area. The storm is going to be just off to your north. There's Highway 31 right now in Pelham as we speak, and there's potential tornado will be just north of the main area of Pelham here, right over Cahaba Valley Estates. That is where a possible tornado is. Debris tracker is showing up still. That detection is indicating that we're going to be seeing that. So here is what we're discussing with that storm continuing to move on into your area there. So Paramount, right over top of your area, Cahaba Valley Estates again. This is where we're talking. That storm continues moving its way. Here's Highway 31. I'll be crossing over there as well too. So obviously a much more popular area here with the chance there that this tornado is going to continue working its way here very quickly, about 45 miles per hour here off to the northeast. Go ahead and show you the reflectivity right now. And again, that is where we're talking about. That's our hook on the hook echo as it continues to move through. There's Indian Springs Village here as it continues on that track crossing Highway 31. Here's Interstate 65. Again, zooming out just a little bit more, we'll show you what we're talking about here with the storm as it continues to move on in. Let me go ahead and take that off. There we go. And you can see here's our hook. here's what we're talking about. There's the highway or interstate, and here's Highway 31, Montgomery Highway, as the storm continues to move on in, going just north of Pelham, but it came right over top of Helena at this point. And again, just north of you in Pelham, here is where that worst is. You're still going to get sideswiped with some strong winds out there, and kind of looking at those severe winds at this point, you can see, look at that. That is where our tornado would be. You don't usually see, as Griffin indicated here, that strong of a wind. You see sometimes the darker green shade there, but we're talking the reds at this point too. The rotation with the storm, not as strong, which is good news. It's starting to weaken just a little bit, but again, could be going through that cycle as it crosses over those very, very populated areas here.
Yep.
And a lot of those businesses coming on in too, Griffin. So
yeah,
going to be continuing to watch this one. Again, it wouldn't be surprised if we do have some reports of trees down, maybe some damage across the Helena area at this hour.
Yep, and I want to take a moment to acknowledge we have another tornado warning farther west in West Alabama. This is going to be in effect for Pickens County until 2:30 p.m. Really quickly, I'll show you that and give you some of the communities in the path of that storm. There's a tornado, an area of radar indicated rotation over in Mississippi that's about to cross over the state line. So if you're in Pickensville, if you're in Carrollton, if you're in Aliceville, anybody along Highway 17, you need to go ahead and go to your safe spot. This is a new storm that's coming over across the state line for Mississippi. So once again, new tornado warning for Pickens County. The most pressing storm of all, though, is this. This is a well-populated area. These are it's a very densely populated suburb of Birmingham here in Shelby County. This is going to be crossing over right on top of that Highway 119 exit, just to the north of Oak Mountain State Park. If there's a tornado, it's right about there, passing through Pelham right now. So there's a lot of businesses here. If you're in Indian Hill, Indian Springs Village, all of these areas along 119, you should have been in your safe place about 15 minutes ago, but stay there. Stay there just a little bit longer because this tornado is right on top of potentially that 119 exit right now. Near Indian Hills. Oak Mountain Amphitheater is right there. We've got the Pelham Civic Center where the Birmingham Bulls play. It's right on top of there right now. So if you're anywhere within that northern section of Shelby County and the Birmingham Metro, stay sheltered for just a little bit longer. I'm going to rotate between products and see if we can see anything. The debris indicator is kind of noisy because we're actually too close to the radar site, so it starts picking up on other things that might be debris. But if there is a tornado, it's right there. It's right on top of Highway 31, about to cross over I-65, tracking up to the northeast into those Indian Springs Village neighborhoods. There's a lot of neighborhoods up here. So if you're anywhere within, okay, yep, there's a TDS there again. It just popped up. So it just popped up right on top of I-65. Let me pull that up right here. Wow, look at this. So there's a TDS right there. There is a tornado down just right on top of that Highway 119 exit, tracking up to the northeast. So you need to be in your safe spot right now if you're in Shelby County, and that includes the southern suburbs of the Birmingham Metro. Everybody from Indian Springs Village to Grandview, all up and down 280 near Lake Purdy, go to your safe spot right now. There is a tornado down right on top of I-65 at the 119 exit. Sarah, over to you.
Yeah, Griffin, I hope everyone can hear the concern in our voice because this is a very dangerous situation along I-65 near the Valleydale Road area. This is a dangerous, large tornado potentially that is moving through this area. There are a lot of communities right off that exit towards Indian Springs Village. This is tracking right towards you, so you need to be in your safe place right now. Through the Cahaba Valley Road, right off the Interstate 65, John Finley Drive, towards Indian Spring Village, Heritage Oaks, some of the other roads, Valleydale Road, Meadowbrook Road, towards 280, towards the Oak Mountain area. So anyone who lives near any of the Oak Mountain schools, you guys need to be in your safe place right now. Thankfully, kids are out of school right now, so if you are home with your children, get into that interior-most room. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. If you have a basement, get into that right now. So this is tracking over Interstate 65 right now. Very clear radar picture of a large, potentially very dangerous tornado tracking along Interstate 65 near the Valleydale Road exit, tracking towards Oak Mountain Park Road, up towards Heritage Oaks, all the communities through the Indian Springs Village area. So all of these neighborhoods, you all need to be in your safe place. For folks who live along 280 near Highland Lakes, Donovan Valley Road, even up towards Mount Laurel, you guys need to be getting into that safe place right now. We're trying to give you as much time as possible to get into your shelter. I know we're all trying to communicate with our families at home. We have a lot of family who are all getting into their shelters right now, mine included. We are going to get through this together, but if you guys are in the Indian Springs Village area right now, you need to be in that safe place. This is right over top of you right now, tracking towards Heritage Oaks, tracking towards Highway 280. So the Oak Mountain School District, you all need to be in your safe place. And then farther up towards Donovan Valley Road and eventually Mount Laurel, you guys need to be getting into that safe place right now. This is just south of Interstate 459. So I-59 or 459 is included in the tornado warning, but the actual circulation does look like it's going to stay south of there. But still, if you are right off of Interstate 459 near the Grandview area, still get into that safe place, because as we've seen with this supercell, it is possible that we see a little variation in the track. That's why the tornado polygon expands a little bit farther to the north and farther to the south to account for that potential change in the track here. But here's the tornado potentially right over Indian Springs Village right now, tracking towards Heritage Oaks. So get into that safe place right now. Dave.
All right, yeah, this is definitely what we've been talking about. You can't stress it enough here. This is a tornado, folks. This isn't a potential for a tornado. This is right through the Indian Springs area now. All right, now Indian Springs Village, Highway 19, plenty of homes, well-built homes here. What? A tornado emergency. So, yeah, 119. Right here is what we're talking about here as the storm continues to move on in through that location here. We have a confirmed tornado, a tornado emergency. It's basically driving right along Highway 119 here, crossed over 31 and Interstate 65, ramped back up as it's been doing over and over again with this individual storm here. As it continues to do so, if you live in those areas here, this is not a potential. This is a confirmed tornado, a tornado emergency right now. This is Highway 119. A lot of homes here, folks. A lot of well-built homes as well in this location that are going to be definitely impacted here by this tornado. This is your tornado here. This the blue shade you see showing up. This is 119 here just to the north of there. As we continue to track this one, it's going to continue on that track along 119 and eventually far enough down the way eventually toward the 280 area. But Oak Mountain Park here, it's going right through parts of Oak Mountain Park, kind of just immediately south of Interstate, or rather Highway 119, right through the Indian Springs area at this time. And continuing here its way eventually toward Heritage Oaks. This is the storm. There's Hickory Ridge. Now you can see this is a fairly large tornado. I hate to say, we're going through a very populated area here. There's Homestead, Heritage Oaks. It is coming right into your neighborhood now. Already is clear the Indian Village area. Highway 119 likely has plenty of trees down, I'm sure, plenty of power lines as well, with this large tornado coming on in from Oak Mountain State Park area as well too. You can see here where we're talking about the storm as it continues to move in. Looking at the reflectivity, there's your debris ball we're talking about here as it continues on that track. Here's 280. It is headed toward the 280 area, going to stay north of Chelsea right now, but definitely seeing the storm looking very intense with that rotation showing up here. But the best way to kind of describe and show you where it is, not this blue, but it's that little circle right in through there. That is where we do have this storm. Again, this is a tornado emergency now because we have a confirmed tornado producing damage along Highway 119. You can see they're right over Heritage Oaks as we speak. If you follow 119, of course, we know that does eventually hit 280. So Little Ridge Estates area, be aware of that. If you live along 280 here from Heritage Oaks right over to north of Chelsea, the storm is headed in your direction. So this is where we're going to continue to track this one, moving about 45 miles per hour at this time. So just went through the Indian Springs area here. This is south of Birmingham, of course, but the storm again has a significant a tornado emergency now.
Dave, you saw this